Hello everyone! So, wanted to try
エッ
something
チ
a
が
bit
さ、
different today.
ノー NFTs っ
Okay, let
てす
me
ごい
just
叫んでんだけどさ、メタバースと NFT 全く関
mute this 1 second. Um, alright, so yeah, the live letter already started. They're just in the testing phase right now, so it's actually not started. It only starts in 25 minutes, but they seem to have like funny chat going on and stuff. So I think it's a good time to start. Not miss out on anything. So the live letter is supposed to be translated in English directly live, so there's no need to watch a Discord on the side for translation. So this is good. This is my first time trying something like this, co-streaming another channel. So if there is any technical difficulties, my voice is too loud or the stream is too loud or anything, just mention it and I can probably just correct it real quick. Alright, so let's get started on this.
ってちょっと待ってよって。
びっくりした。
あれびっくりしたね。
閉じた。すぐ。あったと思ってメール閉じちゃった。
And so we were looking at this article, we were making sure that everything is good, and we were proofreading it, and then it turned out to be about 770 lines of text. And I believe the deadline was yesterday, so we were trying to get it done, but
Not sure what they're
when we
talking
received
about
the
right
feedback,
now.
it was like, oh, I'm sorry, this article won't fit in the space allocated, so could you reduce it down to 330 lines? And we were all like, what?
Yeah, I just closed my email. Straight away.
昨日それを結局夜中までかかってなんとか330行348行ぐらいにしてもう俺の本文は削りようがないからなんか他で削れそうなところは提案しとくからあとは
Also, yeah, they're planning to talk about the next 10 years of the game. So if you guys have any predictions on this or whatever,
to narrow it down
mention them. I'm curious.
And I did my best, but like it was still 348 lines, and I couldn't cut any further out of what I had said. So I returned it to the editor saying that, hey, I'm gonna make some more suggestions of where you can cut, but I can't cut any more of what I had said, and so that was the issue that was happening behind the scenes.
まあこれはでもねしょうがなくて実は僕ら長年やっぱりこうゲームインダストリーでインタビューとか取材が多くてやっぱウェブ媒体その紙があったとしてもウェブ掲載もありますみたいなので、もう実は溢れてもまあ掲載の
So I think they said earlier
なんだろう機会ってどっかにあるだろう
there would be no NFTs and like everybody
全
riot.
員にあったんですけどやっぱりこう経済誌とか、その紙面とかになってくるとでやっぱりここまでこだわって構成する人があんまりいないんだろうなと思っていて、だからやっぱりこう今後はその文字数とかその1行あたりのこう文字数とかっていうのをきっちり事前に使用を聞いた上で構成するならした方がいいかなっていうのが今回のまあ学びでしたねっていう。
I mean, I think it's the way we write articles nowadays, considering the game industry and the different interviews that are being held, and a lot of media nowadays, even if they have a print media, they typically have like a web version of whatever article they write. So if something doesn't fit in the print version, it could always be used as further content on the web version. And I think the team was kind of under that assumption for this interview as well. And so I think this was more like a financial paper that we had to interview for, and it was more like a print media. And I think there's just fewer and fewer places that have a very sort of strict limitation on how they structure their articles. And so it was definitely a learning point for me to understand how many characters and or how many letters need to fit in a certain line of text before I had went into it with our sort of edits.
I really don't know what text you're talking about.
調整版で問題なく受領いただけましたということでありがとうございます。
And it seems like we have approval with the updated version of the article. Hooray! Our edits were accepted.
でまあもうテストなんでそろそろ終わんないとあれだけど、一個だけさっきね結構その NFT に対して NFT は反対だっていう声がまあ Twitch 中心に特にね海外の人たちすごくナーバスになってると思うんだ。
Yeah, so just saying
まあ
again,
スクエアエ
they're
ニックスの社長
they're
の
against
松田が
NFTs.
昇進表明みたいな形で
はいはいはい
今年のお話を出したからちょっと
I
やっぱり
mean,
ナー
as
バスになって
expected.
るなっていうところがあるなと思います。
And I do want to touch upon, I know we are doing just our test broadcast, so we need to end soon, but we did notice a lot of reactions from especially the Western users about the NFTs, many comments about how you are opposed to NFTs. I do understand that our CEO, Matsuda, had commented on the concept of NFT in his sort of New Year's greetings, in his messaging, and there may be a bit of sensitivity, a little bit of nervousness happening around the topic.
でまあはっきりさっきも言いましたけど14でもう一切なんだろうゲームデザイン上そういうものじゃないので、やる気はないのでまずそれは安心してもし不安に思ってるんだったら安心してほしい。それも明言しておくのでやらないです。はい。
I love reading
And,
chat on the
I
side.
did mention it earlier, but based on how Final Fantasy XIV is designed, we don't intend on incorporating any sort of NFT element in the game at this point. So if anybody is worried or concerned about it, I can clearly state at this time that we do not have any intentions to incorporate that into the game.
ただ見てると NFT をいわゆる
All just popping hearts in there.
ものなんじゃないかっていうふうに勘違いしてる人もすごい多いなとは思ってるので、まあ、今度その海外の何かインタビューで吉田さんが考えるその14とは関係なしにね吉田さんが考える NFT って何ですかみたいな機会があれば、しっかりその新しいビジネスモデルでゲームが面白くなる可能性があるものだとは思ってるので、ただそれに対してやっぱそれ専用のゲームデザインが必要だと思ってるんで、まあ、その辺一回こう詳しくというか、解説する機会があればね、話してみようかなとは思ってるんで。
Yeah, so they said no NFTs in the game, but they didn't say no NFT at all. So chat is almost panicking.
まあファンであるっていうことが最優先だと思ってるんで、そこはね安心してもらいたいです。はい。
But looking at how people are reacting to the subject matter, there also seems to be a good amount of people who may have it misconstrued as something that this is like a mining effort, that's something that you are digging up. And there might be some misconception about what exactly an NFT is. And so I would love, if there is an opportunity to speak to the subject of NFTs in an interview or something that's probably, not probably, I'm sorry, in an interview that is completely unrelated to Final Fantasy XIV. Because it is an opportunity for a new business model, and I do believe that the vehicle itself could potentially be something that
So it's very not a no.
Game, a little bit more interesting. But that being said, we would need a specific game design that would accommodate for that concept of NFTs. And so if there ever is an opportunity to go into it in deeper detail, I would like to sort of talk about it, and I think it's there's a potential of utilizing it without going in a wrong direction or like a bad direction. And with any sort of video game, I think before we even talk about the financials or like monetary discussions, I think we need to make sure that the game itself is fun and
I don't know where
fans
they're
of the
getting
game.
on
And
big
so
subjects like this when the live letter
that's
isn't
that's a
officially
very important
started yet.
Piece that we still need to keep in mind with games.
さあ、というわけでまあ簡単に言うと14に NFT が入ったり来たりしないので安心してねって話なので以上です。じゃあテスト終わって少し休憩したら本番行きましょうか。
Discussion is closed.
But yeah, again, no NFTs in FF14, so don't worry. But yeah, I think that's it for now. We will take a little bit of a break and then we will get into the main part of the broadcast.
はい。
Alright, so the letter live will kick off in 15 minutes, 11 a.m. 本番はこの後15分後、11時、午前11時から始まりますので、一旦このまま2人に戻りますが、そのままページほっといていただければ始まりますので、また後ほどお会いしましょう。So we are going back to the cover image, but see you in 15 minutes. では一
Oh,
旦失礼
okay,
します。
they're dropping it off now.
See you later.
Yeah, I don't know why they did like so long a conversation on subjects like in depth like this when the live letter isn't even supposed to be started yet. That image is kind of cool looking though. Lots of stuff in there. Oh. Did it? Oh yeah, they literally went like offline. I guess they'll be just coming back later. Let's see, maybe I should make it bigger after all. I thought it was looking good like this, but I realize it's kinda... I think it's kinda small that you can't really read chat like this. Since it's not started yet, I'm gonna cheat a bit. Yeah, I think this is better like this. Oops. Okay. It's not lost. Alright. Yeah, I think that does it like this. So yeah, what could possibly be the predictions for the next 10 years? Because you know, they're really planning that far ahead. You can see in Handwalker that they had planned that far ahead, that when they released Realm Reborn, I mean, they already knew how it would end, right? Um, it's really hard to say. It could go like any direction. But what I think is that they should probably tone it down to start the new chapter. Because, I mean, they've already treated about like the whole universe, or, well, even worse. I mean, like the multiverse, right? So with the reflections and stuff, pretty hard to do it any bigger than that. So they will probably need to like tone it down to be able to do any crescendo at all for the rest 10 years. Because if not, if they just start big from this, there's no way they can really go that much bigger after this. So I'm kind of scared at the same time that like really dropping it low and starting back again from the bottom will make it dull or something after we've had such an epic tale and stuff. But I think it's a necessary evil for the next years to come. Probably. But it's really just impossible to tell what they're gonna do in the next 10 years. I mean, they have a sense for writing really intricate stories and being completely unpredictable. So you can't even plan one expansion ahead. So 10 years ahead, yeah, no, I'm not. I don't think I'm that good on predictions. But if you guys do have predictions, do put them in chat. I'm curious to start a discussion on this. Alright, well, I think in the meantime, I'm gonna put myself in Be Right Back because I think the live letter will probably be very long. So, just a quick break before we get to start this probably epic live letter. Alright, so see you guys later. It should start in about 10 minutes. Alright. Hello everyone. I think they're back.
おはよう
I
ござ
think
い
the
ます。
live letter is
おはようござい
starting.
ます。第68回ファイナルファンタジー14プロデューサーレターライブをお送りいたします。Thank you very
Alright.
much for tuning in to Final Fantasy 14 Letter from the Producer Live number 68. 皆さんに自己紹介お願いします。Please introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Naoki Yoshida, producer and director of Final Fantasy 14。皆さんおはようございます。そしてこんばんはな人も多いですね。Final Fantasy 14プロデューサー兼ディレクターの吉田です。よろしくお願いします。
Just want to make a test to make sure this is all working since it's the first time I'm doing this.
My name is Toshio Murochi, also known as the Fox Clone. You are a global community producer here. I will do the MC stuff for today's live letter. はい。そして、本日はですね、本日の、プロデュ PLL も、日本語と英語のバイリンガル放送でお送りいたしますので、我らがあいみさんがスクエニアメリカオフィスから入ってくださっております。So once again, today's letter live is fully bilingual in both Japanese and English. So we have a special member from Square Enix America office. あいみさんです。おはようございます。
おはようございます。スクエアニックスアメリカの徳武あゆみです。通訳を務めさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。Hello everyone, this is Aimi from the Square Enix Los Angeles office. I'm going to be supporting for the translations today.
はい。本日のPLL はですね、このセットアップをご覧になった方もいるかと思いますが、吉田さんが話したことは、あいみさんが通訳してくださいます。で、私が喋ることは私が自分で、翻訳しながら進めていきますので、で、私からは大して重要な話は出ませんので、私のことを翻訳し忘れてるなというのはスルーしておいていただければと思いますので、よろしくお願いします。So today's setup is Yoshida-san explain things in Japanese, and then Aimi-san will do Yoshida-san's voice in English, and I will translate myself. はい、そして今日の PLL はですね、前半戦はファイナルファンタジー14の新たなる挑戦、次の10年に向けてということで、吉田さんからいろいろご説明いただきます。
So yeah, they're talking about the next 10 years. This is big.
フォーラムで事前に募集しました、パッチ 6.0 をプレイしてみての、Q&A セッションをお送りしたいと思います。So today's letter live has two major parts, and then first half is the kind of presentation by producer director Naoki Yoshida, which is where we are and where we are going for next 10 years. And then we have a taking break, and then latter half is the Q&A session based on your gameplay of 6.0 expansion.
はい。
はい、ということで、始めてまいりたいと思います。
ですね、私がこっちを見てるとき、こうなってるときは皆さんのコメントを見てるときなので、今日こういうシチュエーションすごい多いと思うんで、ご理解ください。
I have no idea how
So you
long
might
this
see me
live letter
turning
will
my
be.
head sometimes when I'm speaking, but I am actively looking at the comments that people are making as you watch the stream. So you may see me turned this way, but I am still participating. So just wanted to let you know.
まあちょっとね、日本のコメントでね、この手の通訳放送はテンポ悪いんだよなって言ってる人いるんですけど、まあ、グローバル全体でねお届けしているので、吉田の長い話をですね、あゆみさん一生懸命ね通訳してくれてるんで、そこはね、それを言われると我々ちょっと悲しくなるんで、そういうまあ、ファンフェスのステージぐらいで思って見てもらえると嬉しい。
I don't know, Amy seems to be talking, but
And
nobody
we
can
do
hear.
see some comments about how translations kind of drag on the pace. It doesn't feel as quick. But Amy is here to try to facilitate communicating Yoshida's comments. It makes us sad if you're disappointed that it's in two languages. But perhaps if you look at it like a FanFest stage event where we have the Japanese and English, maybe that might help it make it more fun.
Oh yeah, it's just that she's very delayed.
じゃないんですかっていうのもあるんですが、so we see some comments. Do we have any further updates for 6.1? So 6.1 がっつりってことだけはないんですよね。
そうですね。
6.1
6.1 の内容と紹介に関しては、3月4日、
はい、4日です
に、パッチ 6.1 特集パート1の PLL をやる予定なので、6.1 のまあでも今日ちょっと出ますけどね、6.1 の詳しいところはそっちに譲ります。
So yeah, today's broadcast is not literally going to be just about 6.1. We may touch upon it, but then the details are going to be explained on another episode of the live letter on March the 4th. This is JST, but we will go into details at that timing.
Okay, March 4th,
あ
the
と
next
は
one.
まあなんかこう重大発表的なねニュアンスで取られてるけど楽しく気楽に行くので皆さんもですね緊張せず気楽に今日は見てもらえると嬉しいです。
Isn't that in 2 weeks?
And
It's in 2
some people might be
weeks.
bracing for a very important announcement when we talk about today's broadcast, but that's not the intent. We would love for you to just relax and just have fun with the broadcast.
面白いですよ。
なんかこういうこと言うたびにさよしやめんのみたいなの出るんだよなついに俺さでもいつだっけ新情報発表会でさ、言ったばっかだよね。ライフワークだって言ってるんで、そういう話じゃないんですよ。
I understand we were talking about like the future of Final Fantasy XIV, but every time we mention something like that, people are like, "Oh no, is Yoshida going to quit?" And no, I think I told us when we were doing our announcement showcase in February. It's like 14 is my life work. It's not like I'm going to just up and leave suddenly.
もうそんなんで嘘つきってやるの嫌だからなんだろうそんなね自分の去就をね重大発表しますみたいなねことは言わないですよ。
ちょっと恥ずかしいね。
うん。
I don't want people to be going around
Isn't
saying,
the
"Oh,
music in
you're
the
such a
background
liar,"
all
because
fucked up?
I'm not the type of person who would make these kinds of like my personal announcements on a live stream. So.
さあでは、やっていきましょうか早速。前半だいたいね2時間ぐらい、後半も多分2時間ぐらい使うんじゃないかなと思います。なのでご飯食べたりですね今日土曜日なんで飲める人はお酒飲みながらとかでも全然いいので、楽しくいきましょう。
So we're looking at, at least for the first part, we're looking at about 2 hours broadcast. And so just you're free to do like you have
2
dinner
hours,
or, like,
so I'm
eat
guessing
lunch,
3 or
as you're
4.
watching the broadcast. It is a Saturday, so if you want to start drinking early, you're more than welcome to do so.
Let me just put real quick the info about my giveaway.
画面切り替えて
Alright.
いいかな。
I don't want to interrupt them.
じゃあ早速いきますが、改めて今日お話しする内容のトピックおさらいしておきましょう。
Okay, so jumping right in, let me go over the topics we will cover.
で、
Okay,
まず一つ
so
目は
what
ちょっ
we
とです
got
ね
so
まあ
far?
14これまで、正確にはね11年やってきているので、まあちょっと振り返りを最初にね、皆さんへの感謝も込めて、やりたいと思います。
The first topic, of course, it's been about 11 years, to be accurate, how long 14 has been going on. So we'd like to kind of do a little bit of a retrospect, just convey our thanks to our players and look back on everything.
でまあそれを振り返った上でですね、まあちょっとこの先じゃあさらにもう10年は僕続けたいと思ってるんで、まあ、この先10年さらに14を発展させていくために、まあ、新しい挑戦やっていきますよといろいろそこについて、まあ、どんなことやっていくのかというのをお知らせしたいと思います。
And then once we do look back on our past, then we look forward to the next 10 years. Because as I mentioned, I would love to continue having Final Fantasy XIV for yet another 10 years. So there are many different things that we want to do in order to continue expanding Final Fantasy XIV, many challenges that we want to take on. So I want to touch upon some of those items in today's broadcast.
Someone mentioning
でここまで
FF14
言ったら一
Stardew
回
Valley.
休んで、放送の後半として3つ目、パチ 6.0 行月のフィナーレ、プレイしてみて何かありますかというので Q&A 事前に質問募集していましたのでそれに対していろいろお答えしていこうかなと思ってます。
And then once we do that, we will have a break in between, and then it'll go into the latter half of the show where we kind of asked the players, what did you think after playing 6.0? And so we will do a bit of an Endwalker Q&A.
あと10年間吉田リビングデッドを使う気だなみたいなコメントがあったりね。
We're seeing comments like, oh, 10 more years, huh? Is Yoshida going to kick off his living dead?
まああったよね確かにね。吉田の量産を開始しましたとか、クローンの吉田が誕生したので紹介しますとかそういうのじゃねえかって書かれてましたね。
But yeah, I think I've seen comments similar to that, and like people saying, "Oh, we have mass manufactured Yoshida clones."
でなぜか私はもう完了してますよって書いてあるんですよ。
そう。
Yoshida could be a Dark Knight. I'd see that.
では早速いきましょうか。まずはまあ正確にはね11年なんですけど、大きくくくってまあ10年ここまで皆さんとねやってきたのをちょっと振り返っていきたいと思います。
Okay, so jumping into the timeline here, of course, accurately it's 11 years, but like we'll call this the 10 years of Final Fantasy 14.
まあいろいろありましたね。まあ2010年サービスを開始して、
Reminiscing with that.
運営体制ね全部開発も一新して、僕はここから参加ですね。
So first, 2010 was when it all started. Many things that happened had caused us to sort of reconsider the development structures, and there was a lot of changes that were made in order to kind of reboot the title. So this is when Yoshida joined into the project.
で2021年の2011年の10月14日に、まあ、14日が縁起がいいだろうっていうので申請をやりますよという発表してますね。
And then 2011, October 14th, we were thinking 14th must bring us good luck. And that's when we announced that we are going to have Final Fantasy 14 Reborn.
海外の皆さん詳しいよね。あゆみさんもインタビューにいてくれたと思うけど、9番を遊んでみたいので9番のサーバーを復活させる気はありませんかってクラシックファイナルファンタジー14やる気はありませんかってナイトメアって答えたやつみんな覚えてて、ナイトメア
Everybody remembering that he said nightmare.
I love how they know all these details, and I'm sure Amy had sat into the interviews as well, but people were asking about, oh, are you going to make an FF14 1.0 classic like WoW Classic did theirs? And Yoshida answered nightmare, and so people are calling the time of 1.0.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It's awesome.
His reaction was
11
priceless.
月11日にですね、時代の終焉トレーラー公開とともにですね、一旦申請の準備のために Q14 のサービスを、終了させていただいてます。
And of course, in November 11th of 2012, we titled it The End of an Era, and we sort of closed the service for the original version of Final Fantasy 14.
まあ、9番からねやってくださってる方も結構いるし、9番の捉え方って結構まちまちだとは思うんですけど、9番のラスト付近はそれはそれでまた独特のゲームデザインの MMO として結構ね好きだった、面白くなったんだよって言ってくれる人たちもたくさんいて、まあ、僕らシャットダウンするのを決めながらも作ってたところに対してそういうね評価をもらってたりするのはとてもありがたいことなので、僕らもすごいね実は励みになってました。
And of course, people who have been playing since the original 1.0 may have their different opinions about how the game had played.
Oh my god, someone
but there were
mentioned a
people who
1.0
thankfully
anime should be
acknowledged
done. I
how
totally
14 was
agree
starting
with
to
that.
shift, and they did take notice about how the game design was unique, despite
Just to have the
we
story.
were looking to sunset the original version, and so it was wonderful that people acknowledged that, and that was very encouraging for us as a team.
ちなみに9番から今日視聴してくださってる方でQ14 からやってるよって方、どうですか？手を挙げてもらってもいいですか？
So if I could have people in the comments, by show of hands, I don't know how you raise your hands, but like anybody who's been playing since 1.0, the original
Oh,
Final
so many
Fantasy
people
14,
raising their
we'd love
hands.
to see who's been with us since then.
めっちゃい
す
るな。
ごい There's a lot.
I have none.
すごいありがたい。
That's
First time I
amazing. Thank
played
you
was
guys.
just before Evan's Ward released.
まあここからねあと10年お互い健康に気をつけて楽しんでいきましょう。
But yeah, we're looking forward to the next 10 years. So yeah, let's all take care of our health and keep going. That's awesome.
で、2013年ですね、ベータテストをやりながら、2013年8月27日についに新生オルゼア正式サービス開始 することができました。
So moving on, 2013, we start our beta testing for A Realm Reborn, and then August 27 of the same year, we were able to relaunch as A Realm Reborn.
振り返るとですね、
Oh, so that took a
2011
few
年の
months.
3月ぐらいから一気に新生14の設計だけ5人ぐらいで設計をスタートして、2011年の6月から、6人のプログラマーがコードを書き始めたのを覚えてるので、実質そこから2年2ヶ月で新生リリースしてるので、もうちょっと驚異的今振り返ると。
And looking back, so that it was 2011 in March, we started at least doing the framework, just the design structure first. And it was a very small team that worked on it. It was 5 people who started on the base framework. And then starting June of that same year, 2011, we had 6 programmers starting to write code. And considering it took about 2 years and 2 months to relaunch, that's just incredible.
で、念願だったですねファンフェスっていうのを2014年の10月からですね、スタートすることができま
I
し
mean,
た。
if it
今でも覚え
started
て
in
ます。
And of course,
2010,
by 2014,
wouldn't that
October,
make
we were
13
able
years?
to hold our very first fan festival. That was something that we really wanted to do.
Counting the year
初めてやった
2010.
北米のファンフェスの基調公演でステージに上がった時の大歓声でですね、もう足が震えて
I still remember it today. The first time we did our fan festival, and we started out in the North America region. And when I took the stage to do my keynote presentation, and just the cheer that I received from the audience, man, my legs were shaking when I was up there.
で初の拡張であるヘブンズワード、2019
They
年
got
の6
5
月に
million
リリー
players
ス
in
してその後の8
2015. That's
月
incredible.
に、全世界累計登録者数が500万人を突破したと。
And then next, we were able to launch our first ever expansion pack, Heaven's Word, in 2015 June. And then soon after, we reached 5 million registered players.
でこの辺りはですね、我々開発チームもですね、
Oh yeah, because events
こうない
were
のこうないの
launched.
って言われて、よしやっちゃうぞって言ってもうキリッキリなのをやったらですね、いや難しすぎんだろってなってですね、我々もいろいろな失敗を繰り返しつつですね、今につながってる。
So
本当
in
重要
like
な時
2
期だったんで
years,
すけ
they
ど、そこは
doubled the number of players.
But this
That's
is
crazy.
around the time when people were starting to clamor for higher difficult content, and the dev team got so excited about, oh yeah, you want difficult? And so we gave you a really, really tough content, and people started complaining now about, oh no, this is too difficult, Yoshida, this is too difficult. And so we were trying to find that balance. It was trial and error trying to get to that nice balance. But I think it was really important that we're making that conversation.
あれでね、僕は人生の格言の一つをね、
Oh yeah, I
学ん
guess
だんで
that's
すよ。
when they
プ
released
レイヤーの皆さんに
P.
は、いやーちょっと簡単だったなって言われるぐらいがちょうどいいんだなと。
And it was then that I learned this very valuable lesson, which is I think it's best to keep the difficulty where the players would walk out of it saying, that was pretty easy.
で、グレンのリベレーターを発売したのが2017年6月で、この辺りからようやくこうバトルコンテンツ以外の、そのもう14の世界に住むみたいなことをより具体化していけるようになったのがこのぐらいの
Make
時期で、
Phoenix less
それがね
orange, please.
そうしてですね、登録者数が、この時点で1000万人突破と。
And then, of course, Stormblood released in 2017 June, and we started looking at various other types of content aside from battle and combat, content that would involve the feeling of living in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. And I think that really struck a chord with people. People were resonating with it, which thankfully got us to our registered player number up to 14 million players.
思い出されるグレンのリベレーター
I wonder how many we have now.
すごかったですね。
And I still remember when Stormblood first launched, Rauban Extreme in the Niners.
ありましたね。
I think we all remember that.
Robin
あ
Extreme?
の失敗
No,
があっ
I
てね、
don't.
今の安定したキューイングシ
What's
ステ
the
ムがあったり
joke?
するからね。
But I mean, even with that failure, we learned from it, and we were able to build a much better queuing system.
そしてですね、2018年になると、全世界登録者数が1000万人を1400万人を突破
Oh, I
し
haven't
て、
heard those
2019年
stories.
には、1600万人を突破と。ありがとうございます。
So I'm sorry, this is where we hit 14 million is 2018 August. And then moving on, we reached 16 million players by 2019 May. So thank you so much for all the players that are staying with us.
そ
There we
し
go, the
て
present.
続けてですね、2019年に、漆黒のヴィランズを発売し、その年末にはですね、全世界累計登録者数が1800万人を、突破となりました。
And moving on, we released Shadowbringers in 2019, and soon after, we surpassed 18 million registered players.
Oh my god, we're now at 25.
数字に関して言うと、
At
単
December.
純に数字だけをこう見ていくと、そのなんていうの、増えるペー
It
スっていう
probably
の
calmed
ば
down
らついてるような
since
見え
then,
る
right?
かもしれないんですけど、実は体験したことのある人が増えれば増えるほど、新規が当然減るんですよね、はい、パイが決まってるところから新しい人を呼ばなきゃいけないので、だからここまでの数字になってるのにさらに数百万増やしていくっていうこと自体は、とてもすごいことで、これは本当ね、開発運営チームの努力もそうなんですけど、マーケティング PR チームが、コミュニティの皆さんと一緒になって達成してきてる数字なので、本当にこれはね、誇らしい数字だと思ってます。
And looking at the numbers, it might seem like there's no real, like, nothing of note. Oh yeah, the numbers are just increasing. But if you consider this, if we have a certain number of people already playing the game, and if we have a single pie that we're taking numbers out of, like, you would expect the numbers to start going down. But it's interesting that we see more and more players join us even after all these years. We are seeing millions signing up. So, of course, I really want to acknowledge the development team, operations team, but also the marketing and PR teams working with the community to kind of promote the title and get the word out. So I'm very proud of their achievements.
そして2021年、去年ですね、12月2日にはですね、全世界累計登録者数が2500万人を突破し、ちょっと昨日の数字とかは見てないですけど、まだ全然まだ上がってってると思うので、で12月7日ですね、すいません、2週間ほどちょっと遅延をさせていただくことにはなってしまいましたが、行月のフィナーレを発売して、ハイデリンゾディアーク編完結というところまでこぎつけてこられたなと。
Of course, 2021, which is last year, we surpassed 25 million registered players. I did not see yesterday's numbers, or like as of yesterday's numbers, but I do understand that our numbers are still increasing. And then afterwards, I know we had to delay the release by about 2 weeks. Again, apologies for the delay, but we were able to release Endwalker, and finally we were able to conclude the overarching story of Heidelin and Zodiark.
長かったようで、僕は結構あっという間の11年でした。でも本当にね、世界中のプレイヤーの皆さん、光の選手の皆さん、メディアの皆さんもね、関係各社の皆さんにも本当にものすごくこんなに支えてもらうタイトルは他にないだろうと思うぐらい支えていただいてここまで来れたので、改めて本当に感謝をお伝えしたいと思います。ありがとうございます。
And it feels like a long time, but man, these 11 years went by very quickly for me. And all of our Warriors of Light, our players, members of the media, all of our supporting partner companies as well. There were just so many people that supported us throughout this all. So I do want to take this opportunity to convey my gratitude from the bottom of my heart. So I sincerely thank everybody.
はい。あとは本当ね、開発チームにも、本当に厳しいスケジュールでやってきてて、実は拡張パッケージそのものの開発期間って1年とか、下手すると、1年切ってたりするんで、本当に頑張ってきてもらいました。
And I also want to acknowledge the development team as well. They were always working against a very harsh schedule, and even developing some of our expansion packs. Sometimes we have only about a year or even less than a year to get through all of the tasks that needed to get done. So I really want to show my appreciation to them as well.
さて、ではこれを踏まえてですね、ここまで歩んできたその11年、9番の状態を考えれば、これ以上ないぐらいの成功をさせていただいたと思ってます。ここはあんまり言葉を隠さずに成功できてると思ってるので、それでいいと思ってるんですけど、ここまではある意味もう過去になったので、ここからさらに次の10年また挑戦を続けていきたいと思います。
And looking at the
He really likes to ramble.
Walked down, I think I want to consider this a success from what we had taken, and what state it was in when we had first taken on the project, and to bring it to where it is now. I'm not ashamed to declare it. It might be a little awkward in the Japanese, but I believe it is a success, and I think it's a good thing that we've gotten here. But now that we have gotten this far, all of this is now in the past, and so we want to look to the future. We want to see what kind of challenges we can take on.
というわけで2つ目のセクションである
Newfound
新しい挑戦と題してですね、今後どういうことをやっていくよというのをお伝えしていきたいと思います。
So, for the second part of this presentation, as you see, it is entitled Newfound Futures. So, I would like to discuss what we are intending to do.
まずですね、僕としてはですね、社長からやめろって言われるか、やめろって言われても抵抗するとは思うんですけど開発チーム運営チームからやめろって言われるか死ぬかぐらいの以外では14をやめる気がなく続けていきますんで、この先もぜひ皆さんよろしくお願いします。
And me personally, as Yoshida, unless the CEO says, Yoshida, you need to leave, and even then, I think I'm going to fight him. Or if like the development team, the operations team want to kick me out, or if I, God forbid, die, those are the only extreme cases I would even consider leaving the 14 project. I want to continue working.
So I stayed to the end.
So your continued
until I die, is what he says.
というわけでですね、まず今回その10年さらにこう14をせっかくねここまで日本初のそのサービスでこの規模まで来れるってなかなかあることじゃないので、この先の10年に向けてまずは 7.0 をめがけて、新しいことに挑戦していこうと思ってます。
Is he already gonna talk about
Of course,
7.0?
with this title, and considering that this game was launched from a Japanese development studio, and being able to expand to this global scope, it's a rarity, I think. And so my next goal, my future goal, is now looking at 7.0 and leading up to that, what can we do?
コメントが 7.0 って言ったかで
大丈夫大丈夫、もうシナリオ会議の1回目やったから、合宿やったから、7.0 はやるよ。
People are already speculating about, oh no, 7.0 confirmed? Well, I mean, we are already talking about scenario for 7.0. I'm not afraid
I mean,
to say
of course
that we do
7.0
intend on
is
doing
confirmed.
the
They're
7.0.
talking about the
まずここに
10 next
向けて
year.
ちょっとコンセプトを話をさせてもらいます。まずその一つ目がこちらになります。
Now, that being said, I do want to establish what my thinking is and the concept behind what we're trying to do leading up to 7.0. And this is the first point.
これ具体的にどういうことっていうのはこの後ちゃんと、お話ししようと思います。
And of course, I will go into detail as to what this exactly means.
そして
Probably
です
being
ね
able to play solo
7.0 に向
more.
けて、チャレンジとしてですねこちら、
Oh,
第一次
graphical
グラフィ
update?
ックスのアップデートの準備
Everybody
開発
was
っていうのをやっていき
screaming
ます
about that.
And then next, again, leading up
Oh,
to
man, this will be
7.0,
huge.
and one of the challenges that we want to take on is our first graphical update, at least the preparation and the development for it.
まあ、なんで第一次ってついてるかっていうのも後でねこの項目の掘り下げでちょっとお話ししようと思います。
And of course, when we dive into each of these different points, I will touch upon why we are calling this the first graphical update.
まあ一応先に言っとくコメントが結構多いんで7.0 で PS4 が遊べなくなるってことはないです、それはないのでお約束しておきます。
Oh, okay.
I do want to clarify though, because I am seeing a lot of comments wondering about this. This does not necessarily mean that we are ceasing the support for PS4 as of 7.0. So I do want to clear that out first.
そしてですね今日3つ目、せっかくなのでパッチ 6.X シリーズでどんなことをやっていくかというのもお知らせします。
And then the third point, I mean, since we are here, I would like to take the opportunity to cover what we are planning to do throughout the 6.x series as a sort of roadmap.
はい、では各項目、詳しくよりお伝えしていこうと思います。
Diving into the details.
まずコンセプトの一つ目ですね。一人でもみんなでも遊べる RPG へ、さらなる進化をしていきますと。
So our first concept, an even better RPG, alone or with friends.
これ何かというとですね、読んで字のごとくなんですけど、そのファイナルファンタジー14一応ジャンルとしては MMORPG って呼ばれてます。
So I mean, it is what it says, of course, but yes, I understand that Final Fantasy XIV as a game genre would be categorized as an MMORPG.
そこでですね、僕この11年ファイナルファンタジー14
But they want people to be alone, to be able to play it alone. I think
ファンフェスも含めてですけど、本当たくさんの
you can mostly do
ゲーマーの
it
人たちと
from
話をしてきまし
Shadowbringers,
た。
but not really with
And of course,
ARR.
throughout the 11 years of doing Final Fantasy XIV, we did various events, gaming events, including Fan Festival, and I had the opportunity to speak with the different gamers.
そこでですね、あとそのマーケティングチームに市場調査とかをしてもらって、これね定期的に拡張のたびにやってるんですけど、やっぱりこうそこで出てくる答えっていうのが、なかなかブレイクスルーできないなっていうのがあったりします。
And of course, I would have my marketing teams perform market research as well. And this is something we regularly do when we start to plan for upcoming expansion packs. And with the information that we receive, and there's always like a question that we never seem to find a way to break through.
2つあって、1つはファイナルファンタジーシリーズ大好きなんだよ、すごいファンなんだ、全部やってるよ、ただし11と14以外ねっていうのがめちゃくちゃ悔しい。
So there's actually two, and one of them is we see there's a lot of players that love Final Fantasy, and many that claim they've played all of the Final Fantasies except for 11 and 14, which is very frustrating.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's an MMO. It
かけてかなり
doesn't
大部
cater
分
to
でソロで
everyone.
遊べるように快適にしてますが、14はさらにその先へ行きたいと思ってます。
And of course, we are paying attention to Final Fantasy XI players as well, and we've made various updates. I think it has become very solo friendly recently, but with Final Fantasy XIV, we want to go beyond that.
あとはこうもう一つはですね、オンラインなんだよね、めんどくさい、人と遊ぶの嫌、なんかこう人間関係作るの嫌っていうのがですね、やっぱりナンバーワンなんですよね、そのプレイをしない理由っていうところで。
The second point we are trying to reach a breakthrough is people who comment about, oh, online play, that's I don't want to deal with having to play with other people. I don't want to develop relationships online. And that's actually a very large reason, if not the number one reason, many players kind of hesitate playing 14.
だから10年かけて MMORPG っていうジャンルじゃなくて一人でもみんなでも遊べる RPG っていうジャンルにしたいと14を
So what I want to do here is spend the next 10 years and break out of that MMORPG category. I want this to be an RPG that can be enjoyed alone or with friends.
That's kind of a big
7.0
break in
までの
point of
間
view.
フェイスシステムの大規模アップデートっていうのをやっていきます、
So, as a lead up to 7.0 or until that time, we will continue to make updates to the trust system.
パッチ 6.1 から 6.5 までの 5つのメジャーパッチで全メインクエストの必須 ID と4人用の透滅戦を全てフェイス対応します。
So as it says here, trust compatibility for all main scenario dungeons and 4-player trials to be added in patch 6.1 through 6.5.
Oh, for all?
まあ順次
Okay, yeah,
なので
that's the first
パッ
big
チ
step.
例えば
Yeah.
6.2 とかを見ると中途半端なところまでしか対応されてないとかいうことがある可能性が高いん
I
ですけ
expected
ど
this. I
それ
expected
に
this.
ね怯えているといつまで経ってもできないので全部一気には不可能なのでもうなのでこの 6.1 から 6.5 つまり 7.0 までの間を
It really was the
すぐに取り扱う
most-
ためにもうどんどん順次やっていくという期
The
間に
biggest
当てさせて
thing
ください
blocking. Hmm.
And so, of course, these are going to be incremental implementation. And so you might look at, say, patch 2 point something and 6.2, and you might notice that maybe not all of the dungeons have been supported with the trust system compatibility. But if we are afraid to make progress and be just in the middle of work in a certain major patch update, we won't be able to make progress. I think it's impossible to do everything at once. So we are trying to address this as we can, and we're looking at this as a preparation for 7.0. And so we would like to ask for your understanding as we lay these foundations.
So really, you'll be able to play all the dungeons alone. No queuing at all.
編のうち、2.0 範囲を全
Yeah.
て対応します。
So the first implementation,
Some
patch
people have
6.1
social
will make
anxiety
around
and
Reborn,
can't
and
play
this
with
is just
people. This
patch
is cool for them.
2.0 range, and the scenarios duty become trust compatible.
そしてですね、それに伴って一部初期のですね、メインクエスト ID とか、透滅戦もリニューアルします。
And then further improvements will be made to some
Further
low-level main
improvements?
scenario dungeons and trials.
でちょっと注意なんですけ
This is
ど、
vague.
蒼天の石ガルドに入ってからの8人透滅戦、ストーリー上に出てくるあれらはちょっとやっぱりコストを全見積もりしたんですけど、どうしてもこう 6.1 から 6.5 までの期間では対応しきれないので、8人の透滅戦に関しては 7.0 以降順次対応していくつもりです。
You may see the disclaimers on the bottom, but for the 8-player trials, especially those with the Heaven's Word expansion, I'm afraid we are unable to update it at this time. We tried to calculate all the cost and the resources that it would take for us to address all of this within that sort of 6.1 through 6.5 timing, but I'm afraid we would be unable to allocate the resources for it. So we will get to it after 7.0. Yeah, these updates will be considered for 7.0 or later.
So I wonder if they're talking about Castrum and
そ
Prey.
の通常のねマッチングがなくなるわけじゃない
Will
ので、
those get
あ
updated?
くまでストーリーを一人で進めていきたいっていう人のための機能なので、
はいはい
レベリングルーレットだったりねマッチングっていうところはそのまま継続していくので、そこはご承知おきください。
And of course, we don't intend to do away with the regular matching systems. Your leveling dungeons and queue matching in duty finders will still be active and available. These
Okay.
trust compatibility is primarily for those who have a strong desire to play through these story dungeons on their own.
で、
And this
そう
is
ですね、
fine
8
because
人透滅戦は
many people were
今
preventing
回
themselves
上
from
月の
playing
フィナー
because
レ
of
で
this.
ハイデリン透滅戦でテストケースとしても含めてやったんですけど、やれることはなんだろう、確証を得られたんですけど、まあ、相当やっぱりコストがかかるっていうのと、ギミックから調整していかないといけないっていうこともあって、まずは数の多い ID から優先させていただいてます。あとはね、8人なんで責任半のかかり方がちょっと減るんで、やっぱり、まあ、ここは逆にマッチングの面白さみたいなところも味わってもらいたいので、一旦7.0 以降にさせてください。
That was long.
Of course, with these 8-people trials or 8-person battles, we did try it out with the Mother Crystal trial, and we were able to see success as like a test case, but it did require a lot of resources for us to build it. And then if we were to start applying that system to existing dungeons, we'd have to adjust the mechanics so that it would accommodate for the trust system. So at this time, we made the decision to move forward with just the instanced dungeons. And with an 8-person trial, I think that sort of reduces the responsibility per person going into the match, hopefully. So we're hoping that players would still jump into like a duty finder and hopefully get the enjoyment out of matching up with random people. So at this time,
So there
we are
will still be some duties
6.1
required.
through 6.5
Duty
period,
finder.
but we are looking to it for 7.0 or later.
でちょっと注意なんですけど、
I mean, if they're not putting it to everything
まあ、ど
in
うして
the
もフェ
story,
イ
I
スってい
don't
う
know
呼
if
び
there's
方をす
really
る
a
と
point.
暁といけんのかなとか名のある NPC といけんのかなってイメージがちょっと強いと思うんですけど、ストーリー上こうそのマッチングでしかいけないからこそ、じゃあ俺は他のことをやってくるみたいなのでこうみんなちょっといなくなったりとかしてたと思うんですよ。あれまで全部変えるはさすがに無理なので特に序盤とかは冒険者ギルドのメンバーだったりとか、暁の光のなんだろう、こう光の加護を持っているであろう他のメンバーみたいなイメージで組むケースが多いです。
And I want to make another point of caution here. Whenever we say trust compatibility, I think the thought that, oh, can we go into this dungeon with members of the Scions or any sort of named NPCs? And some of these story dungeons have key players kind of leaving the scene, like where the Warrior of Light goes into a dungeon and say somebody goes up and say, oh, I'm going to take care of matters over there. We can't have them come back just to join you in the dungeon. So in those cases, especially the earlier dungeons, you will see your trust members as like members from the Adventurers Guild or maybe other people who have
so
the
random
Echo,
NPC
accompany you in these dungeons.
Not science.
まあキーになるストーリー上のキーになるポイントで、まあこいつは
People are calling for
一緒
Eda.
に行ってほしかったなってプレイヤーの皆さんが思ってるようなポイントはシナリオ一部カットシーンも含めてちょっと変更してでもできるだけそれにまあ添えるようにやっぱりニーズヘックと対峙するときはエスニアも行って欲しかったなみたいなやつはできる限りそういうシチュエーションはなんとか対応していこうと思ってるので、一部ねそれもちょっと変更する部分があるかなと思います。全部は無理だったので、はい、そこはご了承ください。
But that being said, there are certain key points in the story where we do understand players might have a very strong desire to have particular NPCs accompany you in a dungeon. So in some extreme cases, and not extreme cases, but like some key points, the team will make some adjustments. We may have to change a part of the script so that it'll make sense for the character to join you. An example I can come up with off the top of my head is probably the Nidhogg battle, I'm sure a lot of people would have thought like, oh, it would have
Yeah.
been nice to have Estinian join as part of the Trust NPC. So we're considering having that available. So there
Oh,
may
so
be
having
some
Estinian before it joins the
content
science
that
is cool.
accommodates for certain NPCs to join you. I'm afraid we can't address all of them. We can't make it happen with all of the dungeons. So your understanding on that would be appreciated.
そしてですね、ごめんね、ちょっと長くて、6.1 特集パート1の時にまた詳しくお話ししようと思いますが、新生オルゼアの後半って結構今のレギュレーションと違ってしまってるこうダンジョンとかが多いので、かなり手が入ってます、いろいろ。
And of course, with the details of 6.1, we will have a dedicated live letter for that, and I will delve into details at that time. But
Okay,
I
I
do
thought
want
this
to
would be
mention
the
that,
one.
much of the content, especially in the later half of ARR, differ in how the regulation is set up. So there are changes that have been made.
まあ例えばトトラクとかの、ドゥーンってなってヘビースローがかかるヘビーがかかる床とかなくなってます。
What?
For example, like when you go into the Thousand Miles of Totorak, and you step on those like poison floors, and all of a sudden you are hit with heavy or slow, we're actually getting rid of that.
Oh yeah.
あとはちょっと
That's the most annoying thing ever. They are. Oh my god.
ちょっと絵的な調整もそれなりに
Oh, I think that was the most annoying thing ever.
And there are also some aesthetical changes that we wanted to make. There were certain areas of the earlier part of FF14 when we were trying to quickly just relaunch as a Realm Reborn. So there were areas where lighting may not have been 100% to what we would have been satisfied with. So we went back in and adjusted those as well.
そしてですね、まあ他に
So
も
they're
ですね、
kind of reworking
8人
everything.
まあ8人パーティーバトルの一番最初であるビッグアッティン教習戦なんですけど、なくなります。
What did it say
And then
disappears?
one of the first 8-person party battles that you encounter, I believe, is Camp West Wind. And I want to mention that we are doing away with that.
What?
People are getting shocked.
Are they removing Cape West Wind? They're removing Cape West Wind? People were asking for Cape West Wind Extreme, not removal of Cape West Wind. Such devastation. Everybody's screaming, no! Oh no! Cape West Wind.
Considering
No, it was
like
fun
the
to get it in
shield
Troll
of the
newbies.
Varlan Empire.
Oh,
I mean,
this is
he's
sad.
technically not a captain, but like, I mean, he's like a very prominent figure. I think it would be very humiliating for 8 people to come in and just beat him up. So we actually allocated the resources to rebuild that battle so that it's going to be a quest instanced battle.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they're removing the trial. They make it a duty.
あれらもですね、
Duty
今回
calls.
すべて4人用 ID に作り直してあります。
And then of course,
Rip
the
Cape West Wind.
Praetorium and the Castrum Meridian.
Oh, there you go.
Meridin. Sorry, I can't.
Meridiana.
Those very long Guardian bases that you need to go. They were originally 8-person content, but we are going to be changing it so that these are 4-person instanced.
Oh, really?
Instanced dungeons.
なので、
Okay.
本戦も切り出して、4人用としてシナリオモードを作って、
But what about the
であと
cutscenes and stuff?
ラハブレアが憑依したサンクレットさんを8人でただひたすら無言で殴るっていうのも、ストーリー用のクエストインスタンスバトルとして作り直しているので
大好評です。
はい。
And so, your battle with Ultima, or the Ultima weapon, will be changed to a 4-person battle. We are adjusting the scenario mode for that. And then where
Okay.
you go in and silently beat up La Habrea, aka Fancred being possessed by La Habrea, is also going to be adjusted so that it's like an instance during
Oh,
a story
really?
quest.
Okay,
と
so
いうわけ
really,
で、
wow,
ま
they're
あそん
making
な
big
風にコスト
changes
も
to
です
it.
ね、レギュレーション
Wow.
の今のプレイフィールにできるだけ近づけられるように、いろんな改修をしつつですね、パッチ 6.1 から 6.5 にかけて、4.x までの ID ですね、全部対応していこうと思いますので、よろしくお願いします。
So, yeah, in a nutshell, we are going in and making many adjustments so that it fits with, kind of follows suit better with how the game feels at this time. So, throughout patch 6.1 through 6.5, we will be looking at the various content up to the 4.x series, the different instance dungeon to make adjustments.
So it's pretty
さあ
soon.
ではこのセクション以上で次へ行きたいと思います。
Okay, so moving on to the next section.
2つ目の新しい挑戦ですね。この、6.1
The
から
graphical update,
6.5 までの
yeah.
期間、まあ、7.0 リリースまでの期間を使ってですね、まず、
Oh man, this
ま
will
あ、
be
長期運
big.
営やっていく上で第一次のグラフィックスアップデートを、裏でね作業させていただきます。
So our second concept, and again, this is going to be the preparation that we will be doing throughout patch 6.1 through 6.5, leading up to the
You're gonna have a
launch of
lot of
7.0.
work in
It is a
6.1.
long-term, or like preparations for long-term operation of the game, and we want to be doing this in the background, but we'll be preparing for our first graphics update.
ただ、まあ、なぜ第一次グラフィックスアップデートと言ってるかっていうと、まあ2時も3時もあるんだろう、もしかしたらってことなんですけど、なぜかというともうここまで11年運営してきてると、もう尋常じゃないリソース、グラフィックスアセットが存在してます。はい。
So the reason why we named this the first graphical update, and that's of course to imply that there will probably a second and or third after this, but our game has been in operation for about 11 years, and considering all the graphical assets we have produced, it's an insane amount.
やっぱり一気に極限まで上げようとすると絶対コンバートミスがあったりとか、そもそもコンバートの物理時間が足りなくてもうデザインチームが無理です絶対できませんっていう答えになってしまうので、まあやれることを一回やって引き上げたらまたその状態で安定が見えたら次のをやってっていう形で、まあその第1回目が来るんだというふうに思ってください。
When are they going to add space to the glam dresser?
So if we attempted to update every single piece of graphical asset or resource that we've put into the game all at the same time, we might run into issues of conversion errors, or
Yeah.
it's just physically takes a lot of time to convert everything. And consulting with the graphics team, they already know that we can't
4K
address everything
grapes.
all at the same time. And so what we're trying to do is address these in phases so that we can test out certain elements, see how they work, and if it seems to be stable, we move into the next phase. And so I think with our first graphical update, this will be like the first time we start testing some of these elements.
4K グレープス
Okay,
めっ
so
ちゃいい
they
み
will.
たいな
I saw it too, the 4K
I saw a
grapes.
comment that says 4K grapes. Thank you so much for that. That was hilarious.
あそこに 4K とかね
Oh, the
なんか
grapes. The
40万
grapes.
ポリゴンとかかけてるとそれこそ Q40 みたいにキャラクター全然表示できねえぞってことになっちゃうのでまあちょっとこれから詳しく説明はしますよ。
Okay, so they're gonna roll out that
That's
graphical
hilarious, but, like,
update
imagine
by
spending
steps.
so much resources just to get the grapes to be 4K resolution, and imagine spending 400,000 polygons just to depict a piece of fruit. We won't have enough resources to render our characters on screen. Let me
Creepy
go into the
characters, but
details.
4K grapes, right? Priorities.
そのグラフィックスアップデートは一気に、7.0 での投入を予定してます。
So again, these graphical
test of your
updates are
resources.
intended to be implemented in 7.0.
まあその次期拡張パッケージまでの間っていうのを、まあ、僕らのそのグラフィックスのアップデートのシェーダー追加したりとか、いろんなものを追加していくテスト期間だったりプログラム期間だったりそれに合わせたグラフィックスアセットのコンバート期間というふうにさせてください。
So until 7.0, this will be again our preparation period. So this is
6.0
where
grape
our
costume.
team will be testing out various additions to the graphical elements, including different shaders. We'll probably need to write more programs. This is where when we're going to be doing our asset conversions, etc.
でここが重要なんですけど、あくまでやっぱりマルチプレイのゲームであるっていうのをぜひ覚えておいてほしくて、やっぱり画面全体の美しさ、9番から申請した時に感じていただいたように、やっぱり総合的な美しさ、世界の美しさっていうのを追求していきますよと、コンセプトとしてはね。
And of course, one key point that we want players to understand is that this is still a multiplayer game. And so we want to strive for the aesthetic quality of the overall picture and looking at the sort of beauty or the element, aesthetically pleasing sort of overall picture.
だってこう、まさにね、発売されたホライゾンのさ、クオリティでさ、動くと思われたら困るわけだよ。あれで俺たち300人とか描画しなきゃいけないんで、いや、できはするんだけど、みんなの PC 動かないよ。
And I see games like Horizon Forbidden West, and I don't want to get people to think that we'll raise our graphic quality to that. It's amazing, yes, but imagine having to have to render 300 different characters on screen at the same time at that quality. And it's not physically impossible, but then I don't think it's.
And I mean, I want to still be able to play the game even with the junk PC,
so please keep that in mind.
It would lock them out of so many players.
なんか勘違いされるのが一番怖い。
That's the scariest thing for people to kind of misconstrue.
で、当然なんですけど、アニメーションとか、まあその世界全体、画面全体の美しさっていうところにやっぱりアニメーションとかライティングシステムっていうのも大きく寄与してると思うので。
Oh, so they will change the minimum operating specs.
And of course, considering the sort of overall aesthetic, animation is going to be a key element we're looking at. Lighting is another element that we want to adjust as well.
まあ例えばアニメーションに使っている、よくねメモリがって言われますけど、メモリの割り当てをちょっと増やすことによって今までより長尺のこうエモートモーションが作れるとか、あとまあそのライトの数が増えることで実は潰れていたバックグラウンドのディティールがより見えてきて、リソースに手を加えなくても綺麗に見えるみたいなところもあるんで。
So what we mean by different updates to animation and lighting systems is, for example, I know people would automatically start talking about, oh yeah, memory issues with animation. So if we revisit some of the allocation of the memory for animation, it might allow us to create emotes with a longer animation loop, or with lighting. They're just having more lights than we had originally set up would allow for details that would have been sort of washed out or like not visible because of insufficient lighting to kind of show up. And so that will allow for an improvement in the graphical quality without us even having to adjust the elements that are already in the game.
Interesting.
まあ重要なところです。はい。スタンドアローンのゲームクオリティにはなりません。これをですね、皆さん頭にすり込むためにもですね、寝る前に必ず一度復習していただきたいぐらい。
Yeah, I don't expect it to be of the quality of standalone titles.
The new graphics will not be comparable to those of standalone titles.
To be honest, I really like the actual graphics.
I want you to repeat it before you go to bed. That's how much I want people to remember.
I don't want them to put too much into it. I like it as it is.
処理はより 動作が重くなりはするので、7.0 では最低動作保証スペックの条件が、変わるのは確定です。ただできるだけ多くのスペックにね対応できるというところはこれまでのポリシーでもあるので、捨てずにやっていきたいと思ってます。
So that being said, we do want to update the graphics for sure, and so that means your processor might require more power in order
Ouch.
to
Okay,
render
they
these
said it.
graphics properly or like efficiently. So we will probably have to update the system requirements for your machines and your PCs. We will try our best to accommodate for as many models of machines to accommodate with the changes, but we do want to make you aware that it is pretty much guaranteed that we will have to update the system requirements.
でやっぱり気になるプレイステーション4なんですけど、
Yeah,
こ
the
の
PlayStation 4.
6.x 期間中に、先行投入すると思いますけど、
They said they're not
PS4 版
removing
の
it.
最適化をやっていきます。
And I know people are wondering about PlayStation 4 support as of 7.0. I think what's going to happen, and this will probably be done prior to the launch of 7.0, so sometime within the 6.x series, we do want to optimize the PS4 version for sure.
で、
Oh, okay.
そのさらにですね、PC 版にあるようにグラフィックスオプションのカスタムっていうの PS4 版少ないんですけど、
Everybody's saying to abandon the PS4, but so many people are still on it. And there are so few PS5s on the market.
フレームレートを優先するみたいなことができるようにしていくので、 PS4 のサポートっていうのも少なくとも 7.0 のタイミングではしっかりやりますので。
So, and on top of that, there are various graphical configurations that you can set up on the PC version. Like you can customize some of the like display options, and we understand that it's a bit lacking in the PS4 version. So we do want to implement options in the configuration so that you can select like prioritize frame rate, or if you want to, if you're okay with performance kind of dropping slightly but still have the graphics performance, then you can select that option, whatnot. So I do want to assure you that we will continue supporting for PS4 at least until 7.0.
Oh.
What? Really?
みんなどう思うんだろう。
What people's reactions are.
You can see like his pores. It
俺かと
looks
思ったっていう。
upsetting. I don't know.
Some people think, oh, is that me?
Not clean face.
そうそうそう。なんかさ、多分ね、
Put it back.
これじゃないよね、多分みんな求めてるの。
I don't think this is what we are looking for. This is not what we would desire.
No.
なんか疲れた吉田って書かれてる。
Some people are saying
Looks
this is a very
tired.
tired Yoshida.
そう、なんか違うでしょ。
Yeah, but it kind of does feel awkward.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
まあここまでリアルにはならんす。
Phew, I got
So
scared
we
for a minute.
aren't going to be
It
working
it
to
looked
to
weird.
make it look
I
as
got
real.
scared for a minute there. Okay.
まあいわゆるフォトリアルを追求していくとグラフィックスアップデートってこっちに行きがちなんですけど、おそらくファイナルファンタジー14の世界やキャラクターが気に入ってくださってる方多分こっちを求めてはいないと思ってます。
So yeah, that's not what they're
Some
aiming
games,
for.
of
We
course,
get it.
their intent is to lean towards that photorealistic depiction, and people tend to lean in this direction. But I think for those who enjoy the aesthetic of Final Fantasy XIV, this is not necessarily what we want to begin with.
では、
Yes,
今
thank
その
you.
グラフィックスアップデートって実はテスト開発もスタートさせてるんですけど、テストスタートしてからまだ1ヶ月と1週間ぐらいなんですね。
So with these graphical updates, we are already starting testing actually, and it's been about a month and a week.
なのでその1ヶ月
So are they gonna give a
ぐらいテスト
counter
をし
example,
て、まあこれだったらもう、まあ、今出して
or
も
just
まあい
leave
け
it
る
at
だろう
that?
ここまではと、まあこれ以上を目指すんだけど、まあ少なくとも一旦お見せしてもここまでは間違いなく大丈夫であると 7.0 でっていうのを用意してきたんでちょっと見ていきましょうか。
And so we are still very early in our testing stages, again, about a month or so testing, but we do have results that we're seeing that is, of course, we're going to aim higher than what we're going to be showing you, but I think it's coming out pretty nicely, and we are relatively confident. So let us show you some of these images.
Okay, thank you.
こちらがですねテスト期間
Oh
1
yeah,
ヶ
this
月
is
目の
good. I
サンプルです
like
キ
it.
ャラクターですねまず。
So from first month of testing, so this is one of the samples.
The realistic one was
これ
creepy
左が
as
今
fuck, but
で
this one
右
looks
がテク
really
スチャー
good.
をハイレゾリューション化してます。髪の毛も含めて。であとシェーダーを1枚入れてます。
It removes the kind of awkward
And so what you're
face.
seeing is the current image on the left, and then on the right, we've made the textures
Look at the hair.
high resolution, and we've added a layer of shaders.
あと、セルフシャドウって言って自分の髪の毛の
The
影が顔
shadows
に
are
落ちた
what
時、まあその
is
自
really
分の
good.
オブジェクトが自分に影を落とすのをセルフシャドウって言うんですけど、そこも調整してるので、結構ね、セルフシャドウ実はすごい気になってて、カットシーンとかでも。
You can even
And
see the difference
one
from
thing that we
afar.
did pay attention to was the self shadow, or whenever there's like an object that drops a shadow on yourself. Especially if you look at the bangs and the shadow it casts underneath it. That was
Yeah.
something that I was kind of I wanted to address looking at the cutscenes in the past.
でまあこれ1ヶ月目のサンプルなので、もっと上目指せるとは思ってるんですけど、動作保証あまりにも重くならないっていう意味では、今一旦お見せできるのはここまで。
Can
まあ
we
この
see a
上
cat
さらにいろんな
girl,
ことをやった上で
please?
最適化していって、まあ、やれるより高いところ
No,
を
of
目指して
course
い
they're
くことが
gonna do with their blender, you know.
So of course we do want to strive for even better, but at this time I think from 1 month of testing,
What I like
and
is
making
like the
sure that
nose.
the
Oh
game
yeah,
itself
man,
runs
the
properly,
shadows and
I think this is what we can show at this time, and then we'll continue to test and we'll continue to sort of improve, and then
oh no,
apply
he's hot.
optimization.
まあいわゆるキロシと呼ばれてる彼でや
That
るとこんな
looks
感じ。
very good. I wasn't expecting
Our
this
dark
level
layer.
of upgrade, to be honest.
でちょっと見こってる
Oh,
サ
there
ン
you
プル
go,
です
cat girl.
There's
Oh
some
man,
good-
people are
ま
gonna
あ
go
戦でしょ
crazy
うのボケ具合が、
うん
with
まあなくなったり
screenshots.
髪の毛の柔らかいそのカールの印象とかってちゃん
Oh
と
yeah,
出
the
てる
hair
け
is
ど、まあ
good
セルフシャドウ
too.
がボケてないんでね、綺麗にかかるようになります。
Well, I don't
of
think
course,
it
you may notice
changed
the
that
face
much
paint, the
actually.
warp
It's just the
paint is a
shadows
lot
that are better.
crisper now. And then, as mentioned earlier, self shadow is nicer. I think it's brings out the softness of her face.
まあこれがだいたい1ヶ月目だっていうのをぜひ認識しておいてください。
Again, just to remind you, this is after testing for about a month.
I don't know. You see the pores in this one. It's kind of weird. You didn't see it on the others. This is weird.
はい、まあこの方向性で良さそうよね、やっぱりね、みんなのコメント見てると。
Looking at everybody's comments, it seems like we are on the right track in terms of like the direction we want to take it to.
そうですね。Yeah, it looks like
でララフェルがね、
Ah,
一
there
番
you
難
go,
しいんですよ。
And the
But I mean,
lava
yeah,
is actually
it's
quite
basically an
challenging.
upgrade in shadows.
なんかリアルにするところがなくて。
There are no areas really to make it quote unquote realistic, you know.
Well, yeah, no.
まあでも髪の毛綺麗になって、目の周りはものすごく鮮明になって、まあキャラメイクしておけばね、もちろんいろんなパ
The
ターン
eyes,
作れると思うんです
yeah,
け
they're
ど
great. The eyes.
But I think the hair has definitely gotten more defined, and then the eyes has become very crisp, and it looks a lot more alive, so to
4K
speak.
potato.
And with being able to character create, I think it'll
I
have
like the
it
little
will
shine
allow
on
for
the
players
ribbon
for
in her
a
hair.
broad range.
そうね、肌の感じをどこまでそのなんだろう本当にツルツルにするのかララフェルは、こう少しそうは言ってもちゃんと肌っていう感じを出
Yeah,
す
the
のかは
eyes
結構
are
ね
all
調整が
really
難しい
good.
ところだとは思ってるので、ただ皆さん
They
が
look
求め
more
てる方
alive.
向性は理解してるつもりなので、しっかり種族ごとに
That
ですね、調整
Lalafell
しなが
really
らいき
looks
たいな
like
と
the
思って
one
ます。
from the 1.0 cutscenes.
And it's still a challenge to figure out how do we depict the surface of their skin. Like, do we make it completely like flawless, spotless, or do we
Yeah.
actually give it some texture to make it look like skin? We want to
Not
we want
too
to believe
textured.
that we understand what the players are looking for, but it is something that we still need to kind of explore.
まあなんて言ったってね、11年も皆さんと一緒にこのゲーム作ってきてるんで、
そうですね
皆さんが求める方向は理解してるつもりではあります。はい。
But again, we've been with you guys for about 11 years at this
I mean,
time,
the
so
row I
we want
think
to
had
believe that
too much
we
texture,
understand what the players are looking
but the
for.
others were
す
good.
いません、ちょっとテスト1ヶ月目ということでですね、キャラクターサンプルとしては以上になります。またなんだろう途中でね、ファンフェスのタイミングとかあればまた途中経過とかね、お知らせしていけたらなと思ってます。
So yeah, because we are still in the early stages of testing, as for character samples, that is all that we have at this time. We're
Oh,
hoping that we
okay.
can continue to update everybody on the status. Perhaps maybe next time we can do it at like a fan festival or something like that.
じゃあ改めてですね、そのキャラクター、まずそのグラフィックス第一次グラフィックスアップ
Okay,
デ
the
ートでキャラク
features,
ターに関する表
the
現のアップデ
character
ート項目をお知らせ
appearance.
しておき
Okay.
ます。
Okay, so just wanted to recap all of the different elements that we look to update for our first set of graphical updates in terms of characters.
まずですね、全体的にテクスチャーを高解像度にしていきます。髪とか肌とか、それから今日ちょっとねご紹介できてないですけど、装備品のテクスチャーの解像度も上げていきます。
So first one would be higher resolution textures, which includes hair, skin, and we weren't able to show any examples today, but we do want to improve the textures of the gear as well.
でさらにですね、これはシェーダーと呼ばれる、
Okay.
処理になってくるんですけど、質感の表現というのを向上させていきます。例えば肌、それから装備品の金属部分、あと布って、布用のシェーダーっていうのが実はあって、Q14
So yeah,
を入れ
without
てたんですけど
improving the
重すぎ
models
て
themselves, to
外し
just
てるんです
improve
ね
the texture
そろ
that's
そろ
on
いけ
it.
るだろうということで、布がもう少し滑らかに布っぽく見えるっていうシェーダーなどを今、研究トライしているところです。
And then the next item, and this is relating to various shaders, shader processing, which is improved material qualities, of course, skin, metal, and fabric. It's interesting because in the 1.0 or like the old version of Final Fantasy XIV, there was a shader or like a process that was just applied to fabric.
Oh, really?
So that
Okay.
it would look, the textures would, the texture quality would look like fabric, but it was too heavy of a load on processing, so we had to remove it in the relaunch.
Oh.
But we're testing various ways to see
Well,
if we can apply
things have
something
created
like
since
that
then,
to make
so.
fabric a bit more, well, smoother and more fabric-like. And we're still kind of researching and trying out various methods.
そしてですね、キャラクターに対してのライティングとシャドウの強化というのもやっていきます。特にね、見栄えに直結しやすいこうセルフシャドウ
Oh yeah, the player
に関してはすご
shadows,
く
yeah.
ずっと気になってたんで、
Yeah, those were
And
annoying
then
me.
again, lighting and shadow, better lighting and shadow effects, especially for the player's shadows.
まあさっきもお話しましたけど、できるだけプレイヤーの皆さんの今のキャラクターに持ってるイメージっていうのが変わらないように、綺麗になったな俺のキャラって思ってもらえるようにしていきたいと思ってます。
Of course, again, our goal is to make it so that the overall appearance of player characters will be altered as little as possible. We want you guys to see the graphical updates and think, oh wow, my character's become pretty.
で注意点が2つあって、
はい、
まず1
Yeah,
つ
so
装備
like
品
my character looks
信じ
prettier
られない
instead
数
of
の
who the
アセ
fuck
ッ
is
トがある
that?
のであれを 7.0 までに全部コンバートするのは不可能です。
So, 2 points of caution. The gear, we mentioned about updating the material quality of gear, but there's an incredible, unbelievable amount of gear available for all of our player characters. And considering we'd have to, we will not be able to get through converting all of the gear by the 7.0 timing.
なので 7.0 で新しく実装されている装備っていうのは全て今回のグラフィックスアップデートを経た内容で作っていきます。なのでクオリティがより高いもので全部用意するつもりです。
So any gear that is implemented from 7.0 will have gone through the process of the updated graphics. So of course those will be of the higher quality.
ただし、できる限りこうプレイヤーの皆さんがミラプリとかをしておしゃれによく使っているものに関してはちょっと優先的にできる限り対応をして、またパッチ 7.x シリーズで徐々にその古い装備っていうのも新しい仕様に少しずつこう対応していけるようにっていうふうに思ってますので、ちょっと数年がかりで全体が上がっていくことにはなるかと思いますが、よろしくお願いします。
But we understand that there are certain glamours that people use often, so we want to look at those and try to get those done with a higher priority in terms of like which to get to. And throughout the 7.x series is
So
when
those
we will
2B
address
leggings
the
are
rest
gonna
of the
get like a
previous
silky smooth
equipment or
upgrade,
gear.
right?
So I'm afraid it will take at least a few years to address all of the different textures.
A few years, okay.
あと NPC です。今回ね、プレイヤーのキャラクターみんなクオリティアップするじゃん。バーンって。NPC 全員も無理だと思っていて、7.0までには。
Yeah, of course.
The other thing are the NPCs. I know we talked about updating the player characters and the graphics on those, but I'm afraid we're not going to be able to address all of the NPCs by 7.0.
申し訳ないんだが、
Understandable.
クオリティの高くなった NPC とまだなんと順番が回ってこない NPC っていうのが出てしまうと思うんですけど、ちょっとそれも許していただけると助かります。
So I'm terribly sorry to say this, but you may start seeing NPCs that have gone through the graphical updates and those that have not gone through the updates. But please, your understanding would be appreciated.
Yeah, of course they can't do them all at the same time.
With
the number of NPCs in the game.
ちょっとちぐはぐっていうのが出ちゃうタイミングがあるとは思うんですけど、それをやっぱり承認していかないといつまで経ってもできないと思ってるので、ちょっと許していただけると。なのでちょっとイルベルドはまだ後でいいかみたいな。
What did he say?
If I were to tell my team that, okay, we need to do everything, then people are just going to throw in the towel and be like, no, this is impossible. So I'm afraid there will be times at which not all of the NPCs will have gone through their graphical updates, and it might look a little disoriented or disjointed. But if I don't allow for that to happen, we won't be able to get to it. So again, if you could forgive us for going through that, that would be appreciated. Like, your bird might not get his graphical update as quickly as maybe like the Sultana, but
テレジアデレジはっていうお声が結構あるんですよ。ただですね、残念な、なんとテレジアデレジってプレイヤーのなんだろう、キャラメイクで作られてるんで、僕らが手を下さずともあいつ勝手にクオリティ上がってしまう可能性が高い。
Some people are asking, oh, but what about Telegy Adelegy? And I realize his expression is part of the parts that you can select when you're creating your character. So because we're updating the player character facial parts, Telegy Adelegy is going to have his graphical updates already. So he may be an exception to those NPCs.
まあというわけでプレイヤーベースで組まれてるのがね
Chibuke
必然的にそうなるんですけど、まあ7もさんとかはねやった方がいいかなとは思ってるんですけど、ちょっとまだ生産まではしきれてないので、ちょっとそういう状態が出るとは思うんですけど、よろしくお願いします。
So yeah, any characters
She
that
just paid for
are
his
built based on facial parts or body parts that are available for players to utilize will probably be updated simultaneously with like the player character graphics. But there are certain key NPCs that we're also looking at. Maybe the Sultana, but we have yet to sort of assess, and we will continue to sort of explore the options.
でまあちょっと今日お見せしたのは繰り返しになりますが、テストをスタートしてまだ1ヶ月ちょっとのデータなので、さらなるですねクオリティの向上に向けて他の種族も含めてですねテスト続行していきます。いずれ装備とかもねこんな感じになるよというのもお見せできればと思ってます。
But yeah, again, what we showed you was only about a month or so of testing. So we're hoping to provide you with more updates as they come in. Perhaps the other races, perhaps we can provide you an update with gear, etc. in the not so far future.
で、そうだな。あとは
So I noticed they're really talking about technical stuff for the years to come, but
あれは正直
0% about the
物理エン
story.
ジンを入れて計算でかわすしかないんですけど、それをやるとやっぱ動かなくなっちゃうと思うので、あとやっぱり装備の干渉を許可している僕が、もういいとこれは割り切ってくれって言ってるから今のペースでそのアセットギアが報酬が装備がリリースできてるっていうところもあるので、努力はしますが根本的にオフラインのゲームのようにはならないので、はい、そこはすいませんご了承ください。
And I'm also seeing comments about can you do something about like gear or equipment or like player characters like body parts interfering with the graphics of gear, equipped gear, and
Never
I'm
saw
afraid
this.
that is something that we cannot address fully. We would have to put in a physics engine in there, and that would cause for some of the characters to kind of not move properly anymore. And plus, I, as the director, have allowed for those imperfections to my team. I'm afraid we're just moving on with it, or else we won't be able to keep the pace in releasing these different gear and the different designs that is available. So I'm afraid we are unable to address it fully to match something that of a
That is
like
a no.
standalone game. Sorry.
さあでは次はですねちょっと BG マップに関わるところもテスト1ヶ月ちょっとのサンプル持ってきました。
Okay.
We have more samples though. This time it's for various backgrounds and like map elements.
まずこれは単純にテクスチャーとかに何も手を入れずに配置
So they
で
even
きる
took an
ライトの数を
Endwalker
増やす
example.
っていうテストのサンプルです。
So I mean, everything will be
So this
updated.
first image is a test of just simply the number of lights we can place in a certain scene without it touching any of the textures or surfaces.
配置ライト数をですね、
Oh, yeah.
複数増やすとこんな感じになります。
So we just added a few more lights in a particular scene, and what you see is in the right side of the image.
ライトがですね遠くに左側ね1灯しか焚けないので、ちょっと見てほしいのは手前側にあるデスクに影がほぼ落ちてないのが、右側複数ライトによってちゃんと影が出るようになってるでしょ。
So they just added
So if
more
you look at
lights
the
and
one on the left, we
G-pose,
were
right?
only able to place one light source in the scene, but in the picture on the right, we were able to place multiple lights to give it a more realistic look. And as you can see, the desk is now casting a shadow.
まあ当然分かりやすく
Yeah,
上の方にライト
that's what I
に
don't
さら
really
に1個
like
追加されてる
actually.
ので、まああそこまで作り込んでたのにライトが当たらないことによって全部黒で潰れちゃってたのが、まあ、しっかり見えてくるようになるので、これ
People
ね
saying
多
the
分プレイ
desk is a
じっくり
National
見て
because it
いない
casts
と
a
という
shadow.
か受ける雰囲気が変わるのでこれによって。
And of course,
I think
I
it's a
think
bit
one of
too
the key
much.
changes that you can see is because we were able to place a light directly on top, you're able to see some of the details that would have been kind of hidden behind a shadow. And so I think with allowing for more lights to
Looks a
be
bit too
placed, it
much in my
will kind
opinion.
of
You can
give you
kind of
a
see
better
where the light
impression of
bulbs
some of
are.
the atmosphere in some of these locations.
でさらにですね、こちら今の現在の状態のティターニアですね。
Next,
Titania.
you see Titania in her current or in their current state.
でこれはシャドウです。シャドウのテストをお見せします。
So this is where we tested out how shadows appear.
Oh shit.
まあ影に使ってる
This
テク
is
チャーの解像度と計
this
算
is
を上げていくの
they
で、
went
これ
all
ぐらい
in.
くっきり見えていくようになると思います。
They put some red and orange
So this
lights
is
in
where
there
we
and
tested the texture as well as the calculation formula behind how we're displaying the shadow underneath.
well, it's really
Titania.
colorful,
And
that's
we
for
believe that we were
certain.
able to improve the quality and the resolution up to what
The
you
glass
see on the right
paints look
image.
beautiful in this.
さらにですね、これ複数ライトも置いてみてるので、もう今の14だと左の環境しか作れないんですけど、複数ライトさらにカラー変えたりしていくことで、右のようにね、かなり複雑なライティングの絵作りっていうのができていくようになります。
And as you can see, we have multiple lights again in this updated picture, and then plus we put some colored lighting. So the
Yeah.
background is exactly the same, and it was actually quite intricately built, but by having these different sort of lighting available to shine on it, you can see the complex details that was part of the structure.
The shadow is also way more
左
detailed.
のティタニアのストーリー的には
Or
左の雰囲
dropped
気がいい
shadow
なって
on me.
言ってるコメントがあるんですけど、実はこの状態をさらにグレードアップさせたバージョンを BG チーム作ってきたんです、サンプルとして。ただ開発者目線で見ないと分かんないからライトの色を赤とかにして複数ライトが混ざってるっていう環境を作ってくれって言って僕がわざわざデザイナーがセンスよく統一してきたものをバラしたんで、デザイナーのセンスじゃないので、これね僕のプレゼン用だと思ってください。デザイナーの名誉のために言っておきます。はい。
One thing I do want to clarify, because somebody pointed out they liked the look of the original Titania, where it has that sort of mood with all the muted colors. Yoshida I want to point out that this is the developers actually brought to me an example of what improved graphics would look like with that stayed within the color palette of the original picture, but that's very much in the developer's perspective, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference of what has improved. That's why I had requested my designer to intentionally place red lights, something that's more obvious, just to show an example. So don't worry, this is not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to destroy the atmosphere. The designer was very mindful about keeping the tone of the story, but I wanted a more like overt example. So just wanted to clarify that.
So they just want to show us an extreme example so we notice the difference.
ステンドグラスのあたりをちょっと見ていただきたいんですけど。
And one part that I do want to point out, if you look at the upper part of the image, where the stained glass is.
これ左と右、マップのポリゴンは何も変わらないんですね。テクスチャー解像度も変わってないです。
So just reiterating that we have not changed any of the polygons that are in the map layout. We did not improve any of the textures here.
なのでライトを変える複数置けるようになるだけで、実は BG アーティストたちがこだわって作っていた箇所っていうのがより明確にちゃんと見えるようになるんですよ。左は全部影で潰れてるんですけど、もともとちゃんと凹凸あるんですね。
And so this is what I'm trying to show with this image, is that by being able to place multiple lights in a scene, we are able to showcase the details that our background artists have put into the structure. So
I mean, we can
above
do it
these
in
stained glass,
GPOs.
you might
It's
see these sort of like
exactly the same thing.
tiered sort of molding on top. And
They're
the
spending
picture on the
so
left,
much time on
it
this
makes
for
it
such a simple
unnoticeable because
concept.
it's kind of drowned in the shadows. So by being able to place multiple lights, we're able to accentuate those details that our background team has put into the structure.
ちなみにバックグラウンドアーティストたちはライトの追加をやっていこうって言ったらめっちゃ喜んでました。
So
Yeah, I
when
knew
we were
this
talking
live
about
letter
adding
wasn't gonna take
multiple
2
lights,
hours.
the background team definitely had a very strong reaction to that.
よかった。
さあで次はですね、こちらは金属表現を、
Oh,
その
this is
質感を
gonna
上げ
look
ますというサンプルになり
fabulous.
ます。
So next sample we want to show you is how we depict like the texture of the metal.
こちらもですね、デザイナーの趣
They
味という
couldn't
のは
have
ですね、
took a better
悪
example.
趣味なぐらい変えてくれって言ってるので、それをご承知おきください。
And of course, this again is supposed to be an example, and so I asked my designer to make it very gaudy at this point. So please understand, it is not necessarily
My
the designer's
eyes!
choice.
まあ元々やり
Though
た
now
かっ
it
たけど
really
シェーダ
looks
ーがなくてできなか
gold.
ったので、まあこれぐらいゴールドをちゃんとやっていきますよと。
It's not like
So up
toned
until
down
now,
gold.
we didn't
It's
have the
proper
proper
gold
shaders to
now.
apply, but we would love to improve the look of metallic surfaces. For example, gold here.
すごいですよね。
コメントで吉田の
It's just G shade.
こんなんだったらもう仕事してないわ。
People are saying, "Oh, is this Yoshida's house?" I was like, "No, if I were that rich, I wouldn't be working."
Oh, but on the right pillar, you can see like red and green in the reflection of the gold. It's interesting.
Yeah, actually, we trusted left side screen is gold up until now, but now it only see brass, not gold, no more.
まあこういう形で金属の、質感強化っていうのも
Yeah, it looks
まあ
brass
こ
on
れ
the
は
other
とて
side.
も分かりやすい例じ
That's
ゃ
right.
ないかなと思います。
Thank you for that. But
There are
yeah,
much
again,
more
we're trying to make
reflections.
improvements to the material quality, so the look of metallic surfaces as well.
That's cool.
さらにですね、続いてはマップに使えるメモリっていうのも、上限を上げてあげようと思っているので、それによってですね、より多くのオブジェクトが配置できるようになっていきます。
And next was to look at the memory resources allocated to rendering a particular area on a map. And I'm looking to raise that sort of cap so that we can place more objects in a particular field.
まあ、これ
Okay.
左側が現在よくちょっとマトシャと出会ったりするところですけど、こんな感じになってます。これ現在ですね。
So the left side, you may remember your first encounter with Matsuya.
でそれがですね、今回
Oh,
これぐらい
wow.
まではいけるだろうと。
The flooring
And with
texture
testing,
and the
we are
barrels
seeing
and
that we could possibly place more objects like these.
左と比べてですね、
That
やっぱりまず注目
makes
点
it
として
way
は
more
その
interesting.
1枚のループで作られてたその階段状になってる部分っていうのが、それぞれ素材違いをしかもこう組み合わせで、ずらして配置したりすることによってこう使い込まれた感とかより出せていける。このあたりはね、実はすごく大きいと思います。
And so in the left, you may notice that it's just a repeat layered on, like a repeat layered on top of each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in the updated graphics, you can see that we are able to place objects not exactly like on top of each other, but like you can shift it by a little bit. It'll allow for a more realistic depiction of the area has been in use.
that is cool.
So this is actually quite it helps with like the immersion.
であとはそ
And the
の
titty
床
bits
です
of
ね、
grass
実
and
は、
stuff. Yeah.
床の上にもう一枚テクスチャーを重ねてブレンドさせることでですね、床のこうひび割れだったり、 細かい今だとねメモリがないので巨大な床を1枚貼ってどうにかところなんですけど、そこをさらにこう質感上げていけるようになる。
And then the floor or the ground, with the graphical update, would be
Oh,
able
yeah.
to add
see
another layer on top to give it more texture and kind of blend it in. So like cracks in the ground.
Yeah, I didn't notice the
Previously,
rocks in
we
the
wouldn't
ground
have
and
enough
stuff.
memory,
Yeah.
so we would just have to paste one giant floor and deal with it. But with the graphical updates, I think we'll be able to improve on the texture quality as well.
そしてですね、続いてからちょっと BG でお知らせする最後になるんですが、
Next is, I believe, the last set of samples that I've seen for the background elements.
こちらです。我々
Oh yeah, the grass. The grass. That's one thing that's annoying me here. Yeah, when you take pictures and you see you see the grass in 2D.
I should say these are like these automatically generated grass.
Okay.
これがですね、カットシーンのチェックをやってるとですね、割り込んでくるんですよ。自動で生やされるんで、多分カットシーン作ったスタッフの時には生えてなかったんでしょうけど、僕がチェックする時は生えててですね、このジャギジャギがすごい入ってくるんですよ、カメラに。
So they also ate
And
it.
this is so, it takes away from cutscenes when it barges in. I'm sure when the cutscene team is creating the composition, they don't see the grass because this is just automatically generated after the fact. But sometimes it's like so close up and it's so pixelated. And
Oh,
that
so it's
pixelation
automatically
it
generated?
bothered me very much.
Oh
今回も
man.
ね、実はちょっと裏話ですけど、
はい
まあ、エルピスで、
So it might not be the same each time.
ヘルメスにね、メーティオンにせがまれて、エルピスの花を
And
こう
yeah,
見
it's
せる
so pixely.
夜空でね、あるじゃない。で、ヘルメスがこう、
Can't wait to see the new one.
あそこがですね、何度チェックしてても自動草が入ってくるんですよ。で、頭にちゃうんで、
The suspense is
この
unreal.
辺もう草生やさない設定にしてくれって。
あ、なるほど。除草剤を撒いてしまったんですね。
So
Put
one
the
behind the
picture.
scenes comment I wanted to make when I was looking at the cutscene in Elpis. Sorry, spoilers, but Hermes, when he's talking to Meteon about, oh, I want to show you the flowers in Elpis, and he removes his mask, and the grass automatically generates. And it gets in the way. So I got so mad. I told the background team, like, can you make it so that you don't have grass being generated in this part of the ground?
で、それがですね、
Oh wow.
今まだ
Oh
テスト
man.
ですが、こんな感じになります。は
This
い
is great.
But
Oh,
that
this will
be
look so much
updated,
better in
hopefully.
pictures.
Again, we're still testing, but this is a sample image of what it could look like.
Best
で
improvement in the
まあ
game, the
複数
grass.
持てるようになるので、
Why am
これ
I
ね
so excited
草
for
原から僕は
grass?
何も手入れてないんですよ。向こうに見える木とか、全く
It
今の
looks
ままなんですけど、
great.
まあ、こんなに変わるですよね。
So and
I mean,
plus
it
we are
looked
able
so
to
shit.
generate,
That's hard to
a
beat.
variation of different grasses or plants. And so while we haven't added or modified anything in the background, like the trees and the field in the background have not been modified, the look of it is different because of how we can process these automated grass.
これはですね、
Wow.
自動草そのものを入れ替えるので、申請から
So the
行列の
flowers
全ての
なるほど。
マップで
through
自動で生えてる
the
草が
grass
綺麗に
looks
なります。
kind of weird.
And for
Like,
this update, we will
2,000
be
times
replacing
better
the
than it
system that
was.
generates these grass or plant life. And so this should be applied throughout all of the areas from around Reborn throughout
Oh,
Game
yeah.
Walker.
さあではバックグラウンド実はねまだあるんですけど、ちょっとどんな表現バックグラウンドを上げていくかというのをお知ら
Asm
せ
step,
しておきま
yeah.
す。
Asm step will look awesome.
We've done various other testings in terms of background elements, but allow me to summarize again.
まず先ほど、サンプルでも見ていただきましたライト配置数の追加。
Oh yeah, they already
質
said
感
it
表現ね
like
強化というの
1,000
がこれに
times
よって
already.
行われます。
Okay.
So again, we are going to be doing additional lighting points, so improve visual quality, depth, and immersion.
そしてですね、影の高解像度化、影のテクスチャーを高解像度にすることで
So
ですね、
they're
ちら
just
つかなくなったり
repeating
ですね、
themselves
影が
there.
よりメリハリが効くようになります。
And then higher resolution shadows. And so we'd be improving the texture of the shadow and how it's depicted so that it will allow for like flickering, decreased flickering.
Someone in the
ちょっと嘆き
comments
の運転の
saying,
マップを思い出していただきたいんですけ
wait,
ど、あそこ
my
実
goal
は
to take
電気を宇宙
screenshots of
空
my
間にする
Lala
ため
hiding
に
in as many
ライ
plants
ト
as
の距離
possible
を
would
す
be
ごい
so
遠
much
く
better.
にして、
Yep.
全体の暗さをこう締めるようなことをやってるんですけど、結果そうすると影がものすごく長く表示されるんだけど、テクスチャー解像度が低いがゆえにすごいじらついたりボケたりする箇所が結構多いんですよ。ただ雰囲気を優先したんで我慢してたんですけど、そういうところもですね、より綺麗にちらつかずに影が出てくるようになると思います。
So if you would recall Mare Lamentorium and how we were trying to depict or make it seem like you're in outer space and make sure that the lighting had been placed in a very distant location so that we emphasize that sort of darkness that surrounds you. Because of that, whenever you're on the moon, your shadow gets to be very long, but because the shadow textures were not optimal, you would see frequent areas that would cause the shadows to flicker or it
Yeah,
could
I
get blurry.
noticed.
So
Yeah.
with the graphical update, we're hoping to improve so that those shadows would come out a lot crisper.
Okay.
そして質感表現の向上です。これもシェーダーでですね、金属とか
I think they're
人間とか、
probably
それ
soon
以外
going
のちょ
to
っとシェーダーも今
take a
検討してい
break.
ます。
And then, of course, improve textures, which includes metals, fabrics, and we're also trying to consider what other elements can we improve.
そして最後にご覧いただいた自動配置植物の強化、高解像度にしたりですね、あとは植生をね、種類を増やしたりしていきます。
Lastly, more and better auto-generated greenery, which is increased resolution, variety, and etc.
で、画面全体にフィルター効果として非常に重要なアンビエントオクルージョンっていう機能だったり、フォグ、いわゆる霧をこう重ねるみたいな、それをフォグ
So
って言うんですけど、
improving on the
これらに
fog
関
and
しては今テストをしているんですけど、まだちょっとサンプルをお見せできない状態です。
And we're also considering other effects or filters that would apply to the overall screen, including ambient occlusion and fog effects. Now, those are still being tested, but we couldn't produce results that we can present at this time.
めちゃくちゃ雰囲気出るし、めちゃくちゃクオリティ上がるんですけど、画面全体にパフォーマンスの影響を与えるものなので、慎重にテストを
yeah,
して、
fog would
しっかり
probably
こ
be
れ
very
だったら大丈夫
demanding.
だろう。その皆さんが極端に PC を買い替えたりとかしなくても、あとオプションでね、ちょっと切ることで軽くできるとかっていうのをちゃんと用意した上で、ここまでやれますよっていうのをちゃんとお見せできる。まだちょっと1ヶ月じゃそこまではいけないので、ただこれらも強化はしていきますので、また続報をね、お待ちいただければと思います。
And we totally understand that it will give it a different sense of atmosphere, or it would really improve the mood if we had those kinds of textures applied or those filters applied. But it does affect the overall performance of the game. So we will need to test it very carefully for sure. So we want to explore our options, but we also want to make sure that we are at a state where we're comfortable and not requiring resources that players would have to like update their PC to an extreme, or be able to provide an option to shut it off if you want to optimize your performance.
I like that they're
I'm afraid
thinking
we're
about
not
this kind of stuff too.
able to show you anything as of like a month or so of testing, but we're hoping to bring you updates further down the line. So yeah, if you could please stay tuned for that.
さて、 では、グラフィックス第1次グラフィックスアップデートの、今日お伝えできる範囲としては、ここまでとさせていただきます。
Okay, so in terms of the graphical updates and the preparations that we're making for it, I think is all that I have for today's presentation.
さあでは続いて、
Oh, there's another
3つ目
concept?
なんですが、
Okay.
引き続き多くのアップデートこれまでと変わらずですね、適切
They
な
haven't
スケジュール
even
でお届
gotten
けし
to
てい
the
きますよと
Endwalker
いうお話で
questions
す。
yet.
So yeah, we will continue to provide regular updates on an appropriate schedule.
せっかくの機会ということでですね、ちょっと 6.1 から 6.5 まで現状決まっているものでお知らせできそうなものをお知らせしておこうと思います。
So I would like to share information that we know that we're going to have from 6.1 through 6.5.
まずパッチ 6.1 なんですけど、こちらねリリースタイミングが読み切れないと思うんですけど、皆さん4月には出します。はい。
Oh, they're bringing back Hildebrand. That's.
So 6.1 series.
Oh, I
understand
didn't think I would
that,
see him
it's
again.
still kind of hard to see when it's coming, but we are looking at April at this time.
当然ですがメインクエストのアップデートというのは 6.1 から 6.5 まで新しい冒険をお届けしていきたいと思います。
Tataru's Grand Endeavor, that looks
Of
awesome.
course,
That
those
looks
updates will
awesome.
include the updates to the main scenario. We will have a new story with each patch installment.
そしてですね、全世界から帰ってこいと言われていた、事件や紳士ね、ついに帰還でございます。ヒルディブランドの行月編が、始まります。
Of course, we've heard many people ask for him to come back.
Yeah.
This gentleman extraordinaire, Mr. Hildebrand, will be making his return.
新しいサブクエストシリーズとしてですね、タタルの大繁盛商店というのが、
That quest should be fun, the
連続として始まり
Tataru
ます。
one.
And then, of course, a new series of side quests named Tataru's Grand Endeavor.
ちなみにヒルディブランドが最後に目撃されたのはパッチ 5.3 で実装された漆黒決戦ノルブラントでエリディブスによって召喚された中に確率でたまに出てくるんでね、
What is-
ID の中
what
に
did he
あそ
say
こですね、最後に目撃されてるのは。
I believe the last last time Hildebrand was seen was in patch 5.3, the Hero's Gauntlet, and this is
Yeah.
a random occurrence, so you may or may not have seen him. But when you are doing your Warrior of Light battle, he is one of the people that is summoned.
さあどんな冒険とかね珍道中になるのかぜひ楽しみにお待ちください。
But yeah, we hope you enjoy whatever odd adventures that he gets into.
Man, they're gonna have so much content for 6.1.
ですね、アライアンスレイド
When are they ever gonna sleep?
12にまつわる物語ですね、スタートします。
Continuing with patch 6.1
Oh, the Alliance
updates,
raid.
we
The
will
new
have our
PvP
Alliance
meant
raid
so much
in
stuff.
Myths of the Realm,
Wow.
Part 1 implemented. This is going to delve into or touch upon the mythos of the 12 gods.
そして新
I
PvP
can't
の
wait
クリ
to
ス
see
タル
this.
コンフリクトというのが、スタートして蛮族クエストアルカソーダラ続編があって、ゼツは本当お待たせしました、レイド大好き勢、本当お待たせしたんですが最新ゼツリリースします。
And so next is a new PvP, the Crystalline Conflict. We will have a new Beast Tribe quest, or like a new tribal quest, Arkasodara tribe quest in their dailies, and then a new ultimate content. Thank you so much for your patience. Our new ultimate duty will be implemented as of 6.1.
And Unreal
ゲームは
content.
ねアルテマになりますがもうバランスチェックも終わっていて結構むずいですよ。
And of course, we will finally be reopening the Unreal battles. Ultima's Bane will be what's coming for the next battle. We are currently testing this out, but it's quite challenging.
アルティマウェポンってもともと結構初期に時間のない中で作られていて、IL が結構みんな上がってるんで、いろいろギミック無視できたりとか、被弾してもそんなになんですけど、レベル90でバランス取り直してきっちりアイテムレベル確定させたらね、やっぱ面白いしやりごたえあるなこれって感じでした。
Of course, when we first designed the Ultimate Weapon fight, it was done in a rush, and then by now, I
Really?
think people have raised their item level, so even if you take damage, it's not as bad. But with the Unreal battles, we have adjusted the boss fight so that it matches that of a level 90 player. So, and we've kind of finalized the item level. So testing it out, I enjoyed it. It was a very interesting battle, and it's very challenging for sure.
でも今ちょっとコメントであったんだけど、蛮族クエストっていう蛮族っていう呼び方やめたいなっていうコメントがあって、確かにそうだね。ちょっと考え直そう。メモっといてもらっていいかしら。はい。表現変えていきましょう。
There was a comment about the Beast Tribe quest, and it seems to not be very favorable to call it that. I know we're trying to shift it to say tribe quest, or like we're just calling it by the tribal name in the English, but we are going to try to figure out a better way to phrase it.
What does that mean?
まあめっちゃ調整続いてるんですけど、多分一番難しいと思うんで、やる方は覚悟をしておいてください。
And I want to backtrack a little bit to the ultimate duty, the new ultimate duty, and we're balancing right now and making adjustments, but it's quite difficult. So if you're up for a challenge, that's fantastic. But yeah, it's going to take some. It's going to again be challenging.
Wow. Saying it with the weird laugh and all.
Ultimate would be not 6.1 but 6.11, so it's probably not at the same time as the major patch.
メインシナリオをやったり、ハウジングの抽選に応募したりとかすると思うので、2週間空けて出す予定かな。
We are hoping that players would enjoy the main scenario first, and then 6.1 is also when we open up the Ishgard housing, so I'm sure people will want to sign up for like
Ishgard housing also, yeah.
We're going to wait 2 weeks after the launch of the major patch and then release the ultimate duty.
まだまだあってですね、6.1。
Yeah, the trust system, new calling card style ID. Oh, yeah.
それ以外のID もちょっとグラフィックスの調整
They
と
talked about
やっ
it.
てます。
So continuing on with the 6.1 series updates, so the main quest, the trust system for A Realm Reborn patch 2.0 main scenario dungeons.
そして新しいリワードシステムとしてですね、キャラクターカードっていうのの、システム実装が、
Yeah, that looks cute. That's a cute
And
concept.
then a new calling card style UI. So this is going to be a new reward type system that we plan to start implementing.
まあこの辺の詳しい内容はね、3月4日からのまたパッチ 6.1 特集パート1、パート2の方でお伝えしていきます。そしてお待たせしたロスガルの、新髪型対応がスタートとなります。
So for this calling card style UI, this is something that we'll cover in our next two live letters. There's one definitely planned on March the 4th, and we'll do like a 6.1 feature, part 1 and part 2. So we'll delve into details at that time. So next item would be new hairstyles for Hrothgar. Thank you so much for your patience on this.
そしてハウジング、イシャガールドハウジングが秋、
Ishgard housing
はなんとアルフィナ・アリゼのお母様であるアメリアンス編となります。
They're probably opening up the lottery with it, yeah?
Imperium or Ishgard housing, and then custom deliveries. You get to meet with Alizé's mom, Amelian's.
Custom deliveries for millions. This is great.
新 PVP
I like her character.
またちょっと PLL に
She's
詳しくないです
nice.
けど、6.15 を予定してます。はい。
We had a question about when is the new PvP going to go live. Again, we'll cover this in the upcoming other PLLs, but we are looking at 6.15 timing for that.
まあそれ以外に
Okay.
もですね、透滅戦など多数のものが、まあ、透滅
Okay,
戦
so
名前言えないですけど、
when this is
ありますんで、ぜひご
6.1,
期待
it's
く
the
ださい。ここまでがまあ
6.1
6.1
series,
のざっくり
yeah.
概要です。
And of course, new trials, we can't say what, but other assorted updates are planned for the 6.1 series.
そして続いて 6.2 ですが、こんな感じになってて、まあ、一番の注目はやっぱりお知らせしていた、無人島開拓が 6.2 からスタートになります。
So next up is the 6.2 series. This is one of the large, like the anticipated content, I believe, is the Island Sanctuary. That's when
Oh,
we're
there
going
you
to
go.
start opening this
Island
up.
Sanctuary.
昨日全体を一通りチェックしましたけど、めちゃくちゃでかいんで規模。だいぶね、組み上がってるんで、もう
Everybody wants to
I
know
had
what
the
the
opportunity
Island
to check
Sanctuary will
the
be.
overall sort of content yesterday, and it's quite large scale, but I think it's coming along nicely.
またちょっと、今日は時間がないのであれですけど、詳しく説明する機会は
I don't know,
取ろうと思いますが、基本的には
6.1
外の世界と全
seemed
く
bigger.
異なるそこだけで完結できる遊びになってますし、まあ、ゆっくり本当にゆるくやれるので楽しみに待っていただけると嬉しいです。
So I'm afraid we don't have the time to cover it today, but
What?
we will take the time.
New
Some,
Criterion dungeon
at
with
another
variable
opportunity so that we can
difficulty. That
explain the
seems.
details of this, but it is
I
going
don't know
to
what
be
it is.
a different sort of area that you can enjoy, and it's a very self-contained sort of content that you can enjoy.
でまあ2.x 残り新生オルゼアの 2.x シリーズのメインクエスト ID を全部対応し、想定編にも突入します。あとは武器強化コンテンツの新しいシリーズをスタートしますとかですね。
So going back to the earlier bullet points, we will be applying the trust system for the 2.x main scenario dungeons, maybe partially into Heavensward. It says here.
ああそうだ、もうね多すぎて入れてないんですけど、ミラプリの拡張もね 6.1 から第1弾始まるんで言っときます。そういうの。
Oh, we also want to mention we will be expanding on glamours.
No.
ミラプリのごめんなさい、ミラプリはグラマープリズムの方でしょうか。
ね、
言えない感じ
The
で。
第1弾は、プレート増やすをやっていく、まず第1弾。
What?
So glamour related updates. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure how to phrase it, so I squeezed it out of Yoshida-san. We will be addressing and expanding upon glamour plates as part of the first glamour related updates in 6.1 series.
まあちょっと全
Okay,
部書ききれないけど
glamour
いつも
related
の
updates.
討伐
That's
透滅
vague.
のノーマルと極があるとかいうのは、まあいつも通りやっていくので、まあその辺
More
は
glamour
書かれてなく
plates.
てもあ
That
ると思って
means
も
they're
らえると
keeping the same
助かります
system, so.
And of course, we will have whatever content that you can expect in a patch update, so like new trials, etc. It's not written here because we couldn't fit it all in the slides, but yes.
収納数増やすトライもしてるから、ごっそりどっかのタイミングで増やします。
And we're also looking at like how to expand upon like the number of sets stored. So we're hoping to find an opportunity to do that update, like not an overhaul, but like an update on that as well.
そしてですね、
An update
さりげ
on
なく
what?
書かれてる新しいこの 6.2 から新しいバトルコンテンツ、タイプが全くこれまでと違うコンテンツを今開発中です。
And then the fourth bullet point, it's just kind of snuck in there as part of like the updates, but it's a new thing that we're trying to do. It's a dungeon with variable difficulty.
これ難易度可変
That
ダン
looks
ジョンって
cool.
今開発コードネームなんですけど、1人から4人でチャレンジできて、1人で行く、2人で行く、3人で行く、4人で行くっていうので、自動的にそれに合わせて難易度がコントロールされるっていうチャレンジ型のコンテンツになります。
And so the code name that we're using here is like Criterion Dungeons, but so you can attempt this with 1 to 4 people. And what makes it variable is that if you go in, depending on the number of people you go in with, so 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, the difficulty sort of varies. It will automatically scale. So it's like a content where players can sort of challenge themselves.
まあ
That's
こちら
cool.
も組み上がってはきてるんですけど、まだ調整いろいろチェックやってたりするんで、まあ6点に近づいてきたらしっかり特集していきたいと思います。
It is coming along nicely, but and we're still performing checks on the content. So please stay tuned for new information as they become available when we can talk about 6.2.
そして6.3 になるとですね、メインクエストの ID フェイス対応が争点編をここで完了させる予定です。
And then moving into 6.3, so we continued to add more trust NPCs. We should be able to address the remaining
the deep dungeon. There
main
you go.
scenario instanced dungeons in Heavensward.
でかいのはですね、世界中からですね、ディープダンジョンシリーズの新しいのがやりたいというお声をたくさん頂戴していたので、
Yeah, it's been a long
今企
time
画をや
now.
っている最中です。6.3 で、ディープダンジョンシリーズの第3弾実装予定です。
And then players from around the world had asked about when do we get a new deep dungeon. And so we are in the planning phases at this time. We're hoping to launch the third in the series of deep dungeons at 6.3 series timing.
That will be different
そして
from
ですね、すでに、開発スタ
Boscia
ートして進んでるんですが、Z シリーズの第5弾を、6.3 でリリース予定です。
And then we are already starting to make plans for this, but we do intend on adding one more ultimate duty. So this will be the 5th one in the series.
そしてですね、6.2 でリリースされた、無人島開拓のアップデートももちろん行っていきます。
And then of course, because we will be opening up the island sanctuary as of 6.2, at 6.3 series timing, we will continue to update it.
でまあ、4と5はちょっとパッチ 6.4 と5はまとめてのご紹介になっちゃいますが、この4と5でグレン編のメインクエスト ID のフェイス対応を全部終わらせて、まあ、これで、ストーリー上に登場する ID は、全部対応が終わる予定です。
And then next page covers both 6.4 and 6.5 series. But by this time, we aim to complete the trust system implementation into all of the Stormblood main scenario dungeon series. And so that should get through all of Stormblood.
So it should be completely done by
新しいバトルコンテンツシリーズの第2弾とか第3弾も入れていきますし、無人島開拓の開拓エリアを追加したりっていう予定ももう当然ね、我々長期計画で進んでいるので予定されてます。
And then, of course, our Criterion dungeons will see an update. We should have numbers 2 and 3 implemented. And then for Island Sanctuary, at this time, we want to expand upon the area. So we'll have an additional area.
でですね、例えば青魔同士のレベルキャップをどのタイミングにする、解放をどのタイミングにするのとか、そういう状況を見ながら調整しているものに関してはどうしてもまだ言えないので、それらもちゃんとどっかのタイミングでやっていきますんで。
Oh yeah, the people are right. They're not talking about relics.
の特集をお待ちいただければありがたいなと。やらないとかいうわけじゃないんで、ここに書かれてないものはね、まだ詰め切れてないものはちょっと言えないのでさすがに。まあこの辺りはもう全部確定しているのでお知らせしております。
I'm sure some of you might be wondering about, okay, when is the next time the Blue Mage is going to have their level cap increased? And some of these items, we need to monitor the situation. And so I'm afraid we aren't able to determine exactly when this is going to happen. But we do intend on doing it. We will share more information when we are going to do like a patch specific like updates live stream. Please note that even if it's not written in the document, it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. So yeah, there might be information that we're still in the planning phases and we weren't able to solidify at this time. So we will continue to look at the various existing content and provide updates when we can.
まあなんかパッチ情報を出すとみんな細かいところあれはどう
Yeah,
あ
I'd
れはどう
like
ってや
to
っぱ
know
なっ
about the
ちゃうよね。
development, when it
まあ
would come.
皆さんが思ってることは基本的にやってるんで大丈夫ですよ。
I see that people in the comments are talking about various granular areas of patch updates, and I think it's safe to say that things that we know people are expecting in a regular update will more than likely be included. So I want to make sure that yeah, don't be worried.
まあアルカスソーダラの次がのはどうなるの、種族ってどうなるのとかもう全部決まってます。ちゃんと前から
Yeah,
や
so
ってい
it's
くので、
just standard
あれ
stuff.
かなこれか
Of
なっ
course,
て
it's
思いなが
gonna
ら
be
待
there.
っていただけると嬉しい。
And the tribal quest beyond Arkasudara is I'm sure a mystery, but we have a plan. We do have like which group to focus in on, and we do want to have content available per each of the patch. So it'd be great if you could wait or not wait, but like speculate, kind of imagine
Well,
what
of course,
kind
elaborates are
of
gonna
which
be
tribe will
some.
we be focusing in on.
あとゴールドソーサーも予定してるんですけど、4になるか5
Gold
になるかまだ決ま
saucer?
ってないんでちょっと待ってください。
And we do intend on making Gold Saucer updates, but we still haven't determined if it's going to be 6.4 or 6.5. So that's why we're not
Okay.
mentioning it at this time.
さあというわけでまあまあ変わらずですね、もりもりでやっていきますよというお知らせでした。
But yeah, just wanted to go through all of these roadmaps just so that we know that we continue or we plan to continue providing very hefty updates.
ただですね、1個皆さんにこれを踏まえてですね、ちょっとお知らせをさせてください。
But with that being said, allow me to make one announcement.
メジャーパッチのサイクルについてです。
And this is regarding the major patch cycle.
これまでですね、申請スタートからですね、まあずっとできるだけこの 3.5 ヶ月に1メジャ
Also,
ー
they're
パッチ配信っていう
changing the
のを、
cycle
まあ、
itself.
目標に掲げてやってきました。
So of course, since the relaunch as A Realm Reborn, we've tried to keep this pace of one major patch update.
They're
for
gonna
every
make it
3.5
longer.
で
I'm
これは
sure.
ですね、本当
To
申
get
し訳ない
more
んですが、2週間プラスしてですね、4ヶ月にさせてください。
And I'm terribly sorry to ask you of this, but we need to extend it by 2 weeks, and so we want to change it so that it's one major patch every 4 months.
But
でこの2
each
週間っ
patch
て何か
delayed
っていう
2
とですね、
weeks makes
まあ我々
long at the
開
end.
発内では実装期間っていうのと調整期間っていうので大きく2つあるんですけど、この実装期間にプラスあと1週間、それから調整期間にプラスあと1週間の時間をいただいて、まあ
You wanna have some kind of quality of life, right?
ちょっと4ヶ月、まあプラス2週させていただけると助かります。
So of course we have periods of our development cycle where it's development and then implementation, and various adjustments, fine tuning that we do. So those 2 weeks that we ask of you for your patience is 1 week for additional implementation, and then 1 week additional for fine tuning. So that makes it that 3.5 months now turns into 4 months.
でですね、夏季休暇期間とか、まあ我々やっぱりサマーバケーシ
Okay,
ョン
so it's included into
した
that?
りですね、年末年始やっぱり家族とねゆっくり過ごしてほしいっていうのがあるので、まあ夏季休暇期間とか年末年始の場合にはまあこれにプラス1週間ねさせていただくことがあるかなと思います。
And in addition to that, we do have breaks, like summer vacation or summer holidays, New Year's holidays. I'm sure people have family that would visit over the holidays.
Okay, so
And
no,
so
they're
for those holiday
additional to
seasons,
this.
we might see an additional like 1 week's not delay, but like 1 week's time added as well.
まあやっぱりここまでその前半の10年間っていうところでもお伝えしましたけど、相当みんなの開発チーム運営チームのモチベーションというところに頼ってやってきたところがあるなと思っていて、まあそれは僕自身のこう稼働の高さも含めてなんですけど、まあ、休みたいというよりはやっぱり適切にみんな健康で健やかに開発に取り組むことでよりクオリティも上がっていくだろう。でもまあ事実足りてない無理をしてきたっていうところもあるので、ちょっとそれが理由になってます。
As I explained in the first half, when we were looking back at our first 10 years, we really depended on the motivation of each of the developers that are on the team, and me included. I was moving around and very hands-on with my team, but looking at our schedule and how we work, I do want my team to be healthy and be able to sort of maintain a good level of quality because they are taking the necessary
It usually
breaks.
takes 2 years for the next expansion to drop. I wonder how long it makes over the course of 2 years.
Because some of us may have been pushing too hard. So that's the reasoning behind why we want additional time.
Because 2 weeks additional at each batch. How long does it make after 2 weeks? 2 years.
気遣っていただけてるんでとても嬉しいんですけど、まあ、これまで 2.0 からねなんとか 3.5 ヶ月でこうやってきたこの実装10何週調整何週みたいなのでまあやってきたんですけど、ちょっとね比較を持ってきました。
And thank you so much for the kind comments regarding our staff and
I mean, I'm
making
not
sure that
against
you're
it. They do
showing your
need the
concern
quality of
to our
life.
staff members. It really warms my heart, and I'll make sure to relay that. But considering what we've been doing in terms of providing an update every 3.5 months since 2.0, and we work with a schedule of like such and such weeks for implementation and whatnot. So
Yeah, for
we
10
put
years.
together this comparison chart for you to take a look.
まあこれまで、
Okay.
企画開発、
I don't see it.
調整デバッグっていうのを、まあ、3.5 ヶ月でやってきてたんですけど、
Okay, they're just
Of
comparing
course,
how much
our
work you're doing.
development largely is broken down to planning, development, adjustments, and debug. And this is some of the numbers that we've pulled up.
まあ、パッチ 3.3 の時が左の列、 5.3 の時が右の列です。
So the column of the left is patch 3.3 series timing, and then the column on the right is patch 5.3 series.
まあ、コンテンツ数がね、そこまで極端に言って
So
る
it's
じゃない
not
ですけど、
even in the
ジョブ数がま
6.0.
ずね、11だったのが18になってたり、ボス数が作ってるボス数がもう17から23って増えてるんですね。これ当然調整コストめちゃくちゃ
The
増えてるんで、
voicing, the number of voiced word counts.
So
8,000
the
to
number of,
21,000.
content,
Wow.
like types of content, may not have varied over the years. But if you look at, say, like the number of jobs, from patch 3.3, 11 jobs, we've now jumped up to 18 as of 5.3, which means a lot of different balance adjustments.
Well, yeah,
for
each
those.
time they're
Number of
creating
bosses have
gear,
gone from 17 to
it's for more
23.
races,
もちろん
more
ね、
more
開発
variety
スタ
of
ッフっていうの
characters.
も皆さんからいただいた月額課金で、まあ、どんどん採用してどんどん増やしていて、チーム規模も当然上がってるんですけど、じゃあ人が増えればそんなに簡単に僕ら工場製品作ってるわけじゃないので量産が上がるかっていうとやっぱりそうではない。トレーニングも必要、経験も必要。やっぱりそんなスーパーエースたちが中川とか須藤とかがバンバン育っていくわけじゃないので
Of course, with our development team, thanks to the support via monthly submissions or subscriptions from everybody, we are able to strengthen our team, we were able to hire additional staff, and so our team has definitely grown. But I mean, we're not in a factory manufacturing, like we're not an assembly line. So we require training. We require for our staff to gain experience. Not everybody is a super ace player like Nakagawa or Sudo.
例えばこの開発チーム運営チーム三角形だとした場合に、この三角のスケールはめっちゃ大きくできるんですよ。
はいはいはい。
だけど結局上の方に行くと、どこまで行っても最後は頂点はディレクターとかプロデューサーってなってくると、
I think they're gonna ramble on that page for a long time to like justify
調
2
整の
weeks.
チェックもせずに出すってわけにもいかないから、まあ、吉田を別に分身させろとかその培養して増やせばって考えもなきにしもあるんだけど、ちょっとまだテクノロジーがそこまで追いついてないんで。
So if you would imagine our sort of team, I guess, our staff, or how we're organized as like a giant triangle. And of course, we can always scale the triangle to be larger, but I mean, it's still a triangle, so the tip is very small. And when you get to like the director and producer level, I mean, we train fantastic people, but like it doesn't grow in numbers as much as like when you scale the lower part of it. And there still requires a lot of adjustments that need to be applied on the things that we do create. And of course, it would be awesome if we can create like multiples of Yoshida. Maybe if we can clone him or like
Yoshida clones or what?
But still, it is quite a challenge.
吉田にハイデリンキックして分割しようって言われてるけど、それ薄くなってんじゃん一吉田。
一気に14個に。
Somebody's saying, perform the Heidelin kick on Yoshida and sunder him, then we'll have 14 of him. But then right now, but he's sundered, so he's like thinner. Like you have a diluted version of him.
いやいや、まあでもね、例えばその
And I like how it's now the Idolin song that's playing at that moment.
ね、自動送りしていくと、まあ、パチコツ
The timing is great.
になってるんですけど、まあ、当然ですけど、そのいただいた利益で人も増やし、いろんな会社さんにお願いして腕のいい人たちにたくさんカットシーンやっぱ作ってもらってるんですけど、どうしてもねディレクションする側っていうのの人数は限られてくるので、それでももう倍増近い感じですし。
And if we look at the cutscenes, we went from 2 hours 25 minutes to 4 hours and 30
that's crazy.
minutes. And this is like if you let the dialogue autoplay. But I mean, we have brought on many talented people onto our teams, but we still require somebody to look at the product that they create, and there needs to be a director that makes sure that we're aligned.
もうなんか面白いね、なんか能力の薄い吉田ただのやからやんけって
comments still going on about Sundered Yoshida, like, well, but what if he's like that's I think a low quality Yoshida. It's just a man.
まあというわけでですね、これからもちょっと今日お伝えした内容 7.0 に向かっていろいろやっていきます。パッチの物量というのも頑張ってまた作っていきますし、クオリティとか調整というところも妥協なくねまた進めていきたいとは思うんですが、まあその分ですね、ちょっとこれまでのパッチサイクル
Okay, I'm glad they didn't go over each and every single thing in the board.
ここから先まだまだ楽しみお届けしていこうと思ってます。
But yeah, we are making various plans leading up to 7.0, and we
How
still
much
want
of that
to
word
continue
count
bringing
is
you the
Rianji?
different patch updates. And so
Probably a lot.
with the different elements that we implement, as well as the balancing that we do, the fine-tuning, we don't want to compromise any of that. That's why we do want to continue producing the patches to the quality that we hold ourselves up to. So we do want to ask for that initial 2 weeks so that we will have the 4-month patch cycle. But we will continue to bring you regular updates.
まあ本当にあと10年やっていけばとてつもな
But
く
they didn't
長
want
い
to show
旅
it
に
on the
なると思ってま
2-year
す。
span.
皆さんとね一緒に今度は20年歩んでいこうってことになるかと思います。
And we strive for another 10 years. This is our goal. And I'm hoping that we will get to a point where we will be celebrating, or like we will be looking back at our journey in our 20th like anniversary.
まだまだやりたいことね、チャレンジしてみたいことあります。驚いてもらえることを
Yeah,
やっていこうと
10
思い
years,
ま
it
すの
will be
で、
the
ぜひこの
20th
先もですね、一緒に
anniversary.
またボティン作っていただけると嬉しいです。はい。
We do want to do more, take on more and more challenges, bring you more surprises. So I want to continue building this together with you all. So yeah, it would be great if you could continue to keep with us.
はい、では前半
Okay,
はい
so
ありがとうございました。Thank you very
what?
much. So
Completed
this
the
is all
first
about
part?
the first half of today's letter live. 今日の前半、プロデューサーレターライブの前半戦はここまでとな
1
っ
個忘れていた。
ています。どうぞ。
DC トラベルはいつが結構多くて、
は
今のところ予定 6.18 かなで予定してますんで。
Sorry, one more thing. We did see a lot of comments about, so when is data center travel going to be implemented? We are currently looking at 6.18 timing for that.
はい、ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. ではこの後休憩に入るんですが、ですね、今日は後半戦は、通訳は別の方にお願いすることになっておりますので、あゆみさんがここまでとなります。So before going to break, because we have another person for translation for the Q&A part. So that's
Okay.
it for あゆみさん today. So あゆみさん、皆さんに一言ご挨拶お願いします。
はい、長い間お付き合いいただきありがとうございました。Thank you guys so much for your patience as we navigate through all of this. But yeah, I will see you guys at another opportunity.
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much, あゆみさん。
ま
では、
あ、僕がね安心してこうゲームシステムの話っていうのを全世界の皆さんにこういつもの調子でお届けできるのは、本当にあゆみさんの高い翻訳スキル、特にね僕の性格を把握した上でのやっぱり、トランスレーションがねもう長くなりますのでね、僕らもコンビを組ませてもらって、
そうですね。
なんで本当に助かってます。いつもありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。ここをどうやって訳しましょう。
ブックが言えばいい。
吉田さん
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
Ami-san really knows Yoshida-san's characteristics very well, so it's we are very relying on Ami-san's translation for when he explains the game systems or mechanics. So thank you very much, Ami-san again.
Thank you.
はい。
So yeah, they were like praising her so hard, and she's like, "Am I supposed to translate that?"
再開 So we want to restart the latter part of the letter live at the 1:40 p.m. Japan time, which is in 20 minutes.
Oh, 20
で
minutes
ですね、
break.
今日の休憩の音もご紹介したいと思います。So, during the break, we have two videos today for you to enjoy.
20分あるから1本ならいいやと思ったら2本あんのかよ。
Yeah, we have a 3-second digest preview of all the songs from the upcoming Endwalker soundtrack. And a time-lapse video of mosaic art we created live using screenshots that we were submitted by our players during another project.
Okay.
2本ありまして、1本目は、先日つい最近公開しましたエンドウォーカーのサントラが出ます。それの、3秒ダイジェストの全曲紹介の、トレーラーがありますので、そちらをご覧いただき、その後ですね、これも先日ご紹介しましたが、別の生放送企画でモザイクアート、皆さんからお送りいただいたスクリーンショットでモザイクアートを作るという企画がありまして、それのタイムラプスビデオがありますので、そちら2本続けてご覧いただいて、また、1時40分から再開したいと思います。はい、それでは休憩です。ビデオをご覧ください。どうぞ。
Yeah, let's switch this. The soundtrack, yeah, okay. I don't know why audio is kind of skipping. They're putting like so short extracts. Why was Ariane on the floor? This is cool. That's a good music in there. I don't know what's happening with sound like skipping or what. Okay, I'm not alone. Like, other people were saying that it's skipping. They're going so fast through all of these. What's this? Why is it doing this? Let me try to reset it. Maybe just reconnecting to it. Yeah, no. This is great. So much music. Okay, well, oh. So they you they first said that the live letter would last for 2 hours, and now it's been 2 hours and a half, and we just reached half point. So I think after this cute video, I'm gonna put an end to it on my side. Because I don't want to go to bed at 2 in the morning. I think I just watch the rest tomorrow. I knew it. When they said it would last 2 hours, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like 3 or 4. And yeah, I'm not even sure 4 will make it now. Actually, I think it will probably be more like 5 or 6 now. Since we're at half point. They always do this. They have no no notion of time for their live letters, really. What kind of pictures are they taking? I want to zoom in on that. This is cool, but I want to see the pictures themselves. Thank you, Warriors of Light. Oh, I think they took pictures of Warriors of Light that the people were sending to them. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. I mean, yeah, I don't want to go to bed at 2 in the morning. So there was actually quite a lot of stuff going on in there. the graphic update, the remake of a cast room and Prey, and man, so much stuff going on in this live letter. The announcements, and they didn't even touch the story point at all. Like zero. They didn't touch it at all. So only really from a very technical point of view, which is fine because they still had a lot to say about it. But I'm very curious to know where they will go story wise. But I mean, 6.1 is closed. I think it's in March or April. Did they even drop a date? I think they probably will drop a date in the next live letter, which is in 2 weeks. So um, should know a drop date by then. But they put so much stuff in 6.1. It's crazy. Are they sleeping? They're crazy. Like, oh, adding the trust system to all of Realm Reborn and all the graphics update on top of all the new content and starting the new story, and they're crazy. I don't know how they do it. So I kind of understand them wanting to add like 1 or 2 weeks here and there in the whole process between patches. I just wonder how long that expands on the 2 year span between expansions, because I guess now we're not gonna get expansions every 2 years if they add a few weeks here and there. Um, I don't know how many months that will take more. Probably more like, I don't know, 2 years and a half or something? Maybe even close to 3? Really, I didn't count it, so if someone wants to count it, just raise your hand. But um, I mean, it's for their mental health, and I totally get it. I mean, each time they're creating gear, they're creating it for more races, and each time they're balancing the the, the jobs. They're balancing more and more jobs each time, and I mean, the content just adds on. It never goes down, you know? So I get it. Why? I don't even know how they kept up the pace until now, without changing it. You know? I mean, that's why they wanted 2 more weeks at the release of Endwalker, and it was completely justified, you know? But I guess now they just kind of got like half a year or a year more, just like that. So we'll see. I mean, they're sure to touch upon the subject once again, no doubt about it. They like to go in lengths about stuff like this, so they just wanted to like drop it and let it sink in before they really arrive with a plan. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live letter. I did. There was a lot of stuff in there. I'm pretty sure there will be still much more stuff they're gonna touch on in the second half, but they're supposed to touch only about Endwalker stuff, so not really what's to come, but rather just discussing plot points and stuff about Endwalker. So um, I guess all the revelation part is done now. Alright, so that will be it. It's 11:30 p.m. for me, so gonna go to bed now. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys had fun, and see you later. Oh, let me check if there's someone I could raid or something. Didn't check. Oh yeah, let me redirect you to Rex, who's doing some BA. So Baldur's Arsenal, the last raid of Eureka. So let's go to there. Alright, we'll see you everyone. Thanks for tuning in.